I turn to? Who do I turn to?
Walk back in with a duffel bag, one key, one bus card, one last tag. Mama moved, phone dead, rent due. I know the block, but the block don't know you. Paperwork thick like a brick wall. Every form say sign here, I stall. Online page keep asking me to prove what I spent years trying to get loose. First day home, I don't sleep much. Window half open, hearing loose cuffs. My hands still shake when the door latch clicks. Still count steps like a cell block shift. I tell myself breathe, keep pace, but the same old alley got a new face. And everybody say keep your head up, like clean is easy when the whole world fed up. 72 hours, that's the test. Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours, don't let me slip. I need a steady hand and somebody to pick up. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? First 3 days I need something true. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? Oh, I'm a returning neighbor too. Who do I turn to? Job site says apply online. My hands no hammers, not this thin line. Password reset, screen froze again. Red letters flashing like tried in. Court dates, check-ins, bus runs. Half the day gone before it begun. I seen guys fold for less than this. Seen hope get smothered in a small time twist. Cold turkey, hot thoughts, hard breath. Trying to stay clean with a loud head. Old numbers ring, same old pull. Same old corner with the empty pool. I don't need a sermon, just a seat. Just a real one who can look at me. Say 1 hour at a time, stay near. Cause the first 3 days hit like fear. 72 hours, that's the test. Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours, don't let me slip. I need a steady hand and somebody to pick up. For a miracle, just a call back, just a table, just a ride.
The day of release is supposed to be the finish line. The heavy doors swing open, you walk out into the daylight, and your debt to society is officially paid. That is the cultural promise of the clean slate. But that promise rarely holds up to reality. Stepping out of a physical cell often means immediately stepping into a systemic one. We call this secondary invisible structure the double sentence. It operates off the books, but it is effective at keeping formerly incarcerated people on the margins of society. This secondary sentence is built on 3 main pillars: technological alienation, structural exclusion, and systemic racial bias. Because these invisible walls activate the moment a prison term ends, they create immediate friction that can stall the reintegration process before it even begins. Imagine spending years, sometimes decades, isolated from modern technology. You return to a world moving at a speed mediated entirely through digital screens. Suddenly, basic survival tasks, applying for a job, accessing resources, or even just setting up a phone, require navigating complex digital ecosystems. The resulting stress is immediate and paralyzing. This specific trauma has a clinical classification, post-incarceration syndrome, or PICS. This diagram breaks down the specific psychiatric symptoms of PICS. We see severe social anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a profound inability to form supportive relationships. This syndrome emotionally and cognitively depletes returning citizens. It turns the modern world into a series of stressors that target an individual before they encounter a single physical roadblock. The most immediate physical roadblock a returning citizen faces is finding a place to live. Securing stable housing is the foundation for successful reintegration. Formerly incarcerated people are 10 times more likely to experience homelessness than the general public. This disparity is driven by a specific mechanism. Authorities and landlords use criminal records to trigger automatic application denials, regardless of actual risk. These automatic denials bypass the civil rights protections designed to ensure fair housing access. Denying a person foundational housing leaves very few legal paths for survival, often resulting in a return to the same behaviors that led to incarceration. Those technological and housing barriers are steep for anyone, but they are exponentially worsened by systemic racism. Returning Black men face intense societal pressure to conform to traditional provider roles, supporting themselves and their families. Yet they are simultaneously locked out of the legitimate labor market due to their criminal records and racial bias. Psychologists use the concept of John Henryism to explain the mental toll this takes. It describes the extreme effort an individual exerts to overcome deeply entrenched structural racism and reentry stressors. Relying on this active coping mechanism in a system designed to reject you creates a dangerous cycle. It leads to crushing burnout, persistent, overwhelming anxiety, and severe gender role conflict. This specific intersection of racial bias and structural exclusion destroys a returning citizen's psychological capacity to cope. It turns resilience into exhaustion. This flowchart maps out how post-incarceration syndrome, housing discrimination, and racial bias predictably converge. When these stressors overlap, the resulting high probability of reoffense becomes a clear systemic outcome. Traditional reentry programs that hand out basic life skills pamphlets or run generic workshops are inadequate against these invisible structural walls. Reversing this trend requires radical policy shifts. The first is integrating specific, trauma-informed clinical care designed explicitly to treat the severe social anxiety and isolation of post-incarceration syndrome. The second necessary shift is implementing ban-the-box laws on housing applications. Removing criminal history questions from initial rental applications allows individuals to secure the physical stability required to rebuild a life. If the legal system believes in rehabilitation, society must stop engineering invisible prisons. The punishment must definitively end when the sentence does.
Good morning, good morning.
Brother, good morning. Almost afternoon.
Yes, almost afternoon, man. Almost afternoon. Almost afternoon now. Well, this is our very first episode of the Returning Neighbors podcast, featuring me, myself, Justin Counts, for those that don't know, Executive Director of Jackson Strength Network. I'll let my brother introduce himself.
Brother D. Rigonell, free people, free people.
Yes.
We here, man. We here.
Yes, sir. Now, today we want to talk about, basically, this podcast is all about reentry and reentry services. We want to talk about some of the struggles that men and women face on the daily upon reentering society. So today's episode, we want to talk about the navigating the first 72 hours, the emotional shockwave of it, the immediate feelings, response of being released, and what was it like for you when you first got released? Can you think back on that? I know it's been a while.
Yeah, man. Well, actually, let me give you a little bit about my incarceration and how long I did in prison before I came home from prison. I went to prison in 1993. I with a 5-year bit, and I going to prison was how that the going in. I did my time just before they had to change the laws with truth and sentencing. They didn't have truth and sentencing when I was on my way home. They just implemented truth and sentencing. So I did the 5 years, got out. Upon my release from prison, I was preparing myself. You know, that's one thing that I was doing before I got out to prepare myself. And when I left there, the procedure for me leaving, they gave me I don't know if they still do this or not, but they swabbed me. They swabbed me for my DNA. And I had an issue with that at first, but they wouldn't let you out unless you got swabbed to get out of prison so they could have your DNA. And I had my prison. I still got my prison ID and my prison ID, and they gave me $300 because I was working at the factory. They gave me my remaining pay that I had coming to me for that month. Got $300 and whatever money that I had into my account. I got that in a check, and I got $150 in cash, and I got on the bus. My destination was back in Detroit. That's where I came home to my mother and my family back in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Got home, was well received at home, welcomed and everything, man. But only thing ID that I had was my prison ID. So I had to obtain my social security. I mean, I had to obtain my social security card, my birth certificate, to get a state ID. Before I could get my state ID, I had to go down there with some information to show them that I had a residency and all that kind of stuff. Back then it was a hassle getting all that, man. It took a while for me to get my driver's license. It took a while for me to get everything that I needed to get back into society to be functionable with using your ID, get a bank account and all that stuff like that. So I wind up, but I had support. I had my mother, my brothers, my sister. I had a family support, and that's one thing that's key to returning citizens. We're watching that video that we just watched, man. It was a task that if I didn't have that support, man, I probably would have gave up and said, I don't need no ID. I don't need, I'm just gonna keep this because this is all I got.
Yeah.
But it didn't get to that point. But throughout the years, with me, talking to other individuals coming home from prison, they go through that, man. It could take you through a mental stage of a depression, actually. And I did obtain some of those kind of depression moments, when I coming home and, couldn't really maneuver like I wanted to maneuver, so eventually I got my driver's license. I got my state ID first. Once I got my state ID, I was able to obtain my driver's license. Living conditions for me, like I said, I went back home to the neighborhood or the community that I left from, actually. And I did have to cut a lot of people off, man, because once returning home, you can fall back into the same boat that you was riding in before you left. The people still out here. Just because you go to prison, daytime don't stop. Your time stops when you go to prison. Your link to society stops when you go to prison. But when you get from out of prison, you can walk up on people, man, that you haven't seen in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. They may still be in the same condition or same process that they was going through when you got locked up.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Speak on some of the anxieties that men and women face when they're first coming home. Some of those fears, some of those feelings that you feel when dealing with just some of the basic tasks that may be basic to everyday people that have never been to prison. Explain some of those feelings. Like, what are some of those situations like?
So say you large gatherings, a large gathering. When I first came home, man, and I get the chills right now, man. Just you stepping into a situation like, being around a bunch of people. When you're in prison, you're not around a bunch of people. You could segregate yourself away from. Some people don't even come out their cells. They only come out to go to eat. You take a shower, go back to their cell. They not, so the anxiety, some of the anxieties that can take effect, that took effect with me, was being around a crowd of people, man. And then that was one thing, like going downtown and walking in the crowd, standing in the line, It took a while for me when I got my to go out of town again to get a passport and go to get on a plane, standing in that line, going through the metal detectors at certain facilities like the airport, the hospital, and stuff like that. That kind of bring back a trigger to you going through the motions in prison,
Yeah, for sure.
especially going being around law enforcement. You know, you gonna feel edge around being around the police. You know what I'm saying? Because it could trigger the security aspect of a guard. You know what I'm saying? And things of that kind of raised my anxiety up. I had to learn how to know that that they not here for me. I'm out here doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so they not here trying to figure out why I'm standing here or figure out why I'm looking over there or picking this up or whatever. Because in prison, you can't just go where you want to go when you locked up. You just can't. They're not gonna let you. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
And even with coming out in here to society, man, being approached by the police sometimes, uh, while in prison, some people don't have respect for the police in prison or the guards because of the mistreatments and the mishap that some of those individuals have put on some of not just yourself but other inmates. You see them abusing them in a way that you want to help, but you can't help because if you help, a situation can occur. So that's things that being around situations like that, man, can cause anxiety and stuff at first. When I first came home, that's how it was for me until I learned how to deal with navigating through what I need to navigate through to be a productive citizen.
Yeah, I had similar experiences too, like the anxiety, just the overall feeling of just at any moment something could happen and I can get sent back. Being on parole, you know, having to check in immediately, that I remember that when I first got home, I didn't have anything. I lost everything during my time in prison. So I left home wearing the khaki outfit, and I remember my mom picking me up and taking me to the parole office. That was my first stop. Had to be to the parole office. I didn't have anything, so I remember feeling all the anxiety, the shame from wearing the paper outfit. That
Yeah.
little paper dicky outfit. So I had that shame. Going into public settings like that, like you said, having that fear. But beyond that, after you get past that first initial shock of being home, the second day for me, day 48, I remember feeling like I didn't know where to start. You
Absolutely.
wanted to do so many things and get back running, but it was like you just don't know where to start. You come from a system where every step of the day is planned out for you. You're told when to eat, when you can sleep, when you can go shower, when you could go crap, what activities you can do, what you can't do. So all of a sudden, having all of this free choice, it gets kind of overwhelming in the sense of, you wanting to stay on the right path and stay focused, but you got all of this stuff available to you all of a sudden.
But right quick, bro, once that second day, that night sleep that you get when you get home and you at home and it's quiet, man, that was something that kind of made me feel that know that I was at peace. I was out because I didn't hear the noises. You know what I'm saying? I was able
Yes,
to give me a good night's sleep for the first
yes,
time in my incarceration. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I got me a good night's sleep, man, and one of the things that I can remember. And sometimes you got to hold true to some of the things that you experienced when you first come home, man. I was able to listen to the birds wake up in the morning, and you don't hear the birds waking up in the morning when you're in prison. You don't hear those sounds that nature make in the morning with the window open. You know what I'm saying? And I actually got to hear that, and that was like my alarm clock every day. From when I got out of prison, I was waiting to listen to the birds, and I could get up and go outside and walk in the backyard, and listen to that.
yeah,
Just embracing that I'm out. And so for me, and I suggest this for other people that's coming home too, you got to make sure you step into that quiet time to really know that you out. And then the support. Then you got your family members. Everybody want to see you. You know, that could cause a trigger as well, because you don't want everybody at one time. You know what I'm saying? You get everybody at one time, man. They gonna start fighting over. Let me hug them now. You know, let me talk. You gotta distinguish the people that you want to talk to when you first come home. You know, I haven't seen my grandfather in a while. When I first came home, my mother, you know, she was a part of this religious facility. So that's where I went. I went to them, you know, and that's a good thing. If you're coming home, man, and you're a part of any kind of religious organization, no matter what it is Islamic, or if it's Christian, or if it's whatever, Buddhism, whatever, go into that community where you're coming home to, so you can be embraced by the people there from that community that maybe can aid and assist you. You know,
Yes.
you sometimes your support system that you have with your family don't have the resources for that. You know, and when you first get out, go somewhere to where you're gonna be received at, to where they say, when they really mean, like, if you need anything, can I help you? They mean that. You know, like the brother that's on YouTube, respect us. You know what I'm saying? You know, don't be afraid to come to us, because we got resources. We'll find a resource for you to get what you need. And I'm here in Michigan. I mean, in Detroit. This brother's in Jackson. We got a couple other people. That's why we built this Returning Neighbors podcast, because it's returning neighbors. It's like we all actually come together to work together as one to help out one another as returning citizens, man. Because, you know, you can rely on the state, you can rely on other entities, but, man, ain't nothing like going to somebody that know the struggle of what you're going through.
Facts. Facts. We got a comment from Betty. She says, "Thank y'all. My son is at NCF in Newberry. It's nice to know that I will have guidance for him when he comes home. His father is deceased, unfortunately, and I'm seeking a role model for him. Private message me if you're a man of God and willing to help my son remain a Christian while incarcerated." Yeah, we'll definitely send a message. We can reach out, Betty. That is definitely something that we're going to do on Returning Neighbors podcast. We will be also having men and women that are currently inside, locked up inside. They will be featured on the podcast as well, sharing their stories. And hopefully we can inspire people for change so that they don't go. But also we want to be mainly a support system for people that are returning or coming home soon.
Yeah, she need to let her son know, man, that it's individuals out here that's willing to help him out. If you can get her son's name and number, man, we can reach out to the brother and see, you know, where he's at in his mental and what he got going on. Because a lot of times when you in prison, man, me and the brother was just talking about that. I know this is returning, but you gotta look at this situation. You have individuals that's right there at the doorstep of coming back out to society. They right there. You know what I'm saying? If they haven't prepared themselves on what they're gonna do when they get here, then, you know, Miss Betty, you need to let your son know that it's a lot of things that he had to accomplish before he get released to come out here to function out here in society.
Facts.
Especially with him not having a father. You know, I'm quite sure it's some gentlemen or men up in the prison that if he affiliated with a religious organization, or me and the brother was just talking about how you gotta connect yourself with somebody or some organization there to help you through to get out. So once he come home, man, we definitely can aid and assist him. And I don't know what part of Michigan he's in, but Newberry, I know that's up in that's not that far from Saginaw, right?
Yeah, yeah, we close. And she might be in Detroit. Yeah, I just got a message from the brother Blake. He said he might be on shortly, so that's cool. But basically, the main thing you mentioned it earlier, and I had the same benefit, is the support system that you have upon release is critical, especially within those first 72 hours upon incarceration, because there's so much time for you to get into so many things that can negatively impact your life from that point on. So if you don't have a solid family structure, a solid support structure to help you navigate some of those challenges, especially if you're someone who suffers from substance abuse history, you know, those first 72 hours upon release, you know, that can be a challenging time when dealing with that, and you're on that walk and you're on that journey. So it's important for you, if you know that you have a family member that struggles with substance abuse, right? One of your core things that you need to do, that you need to have set up, is they need to have a mentor right away, a peer advocate right away upon release to meet them day one. That way, if they do struggle with those urges or those feelings to want to return back to that, they can have someone, a support system to reach out to them that can give them services, connect them to resources day one. Because that's going to be the key, is making sure people have the tools and the resources they need to survive that first 72 hours.
Absolutely. And when you're dealing with, we keeping it real on this podcast as well, man. You have individuals that's in prison that's already under certain kind of substance abuse things. They got liquor in prison. They make it. So you got to be careful because that may be a trigger for them when they get here. They might that's what they might need. You
Yep.
feel me? So you have to let them know that that sometimes to put the substance down, and you got to have a clear conception of your mind. Got to be clear what you're trying to do when you get home, and especially trying to indulge in any mind altering things that can stimulate your mind and have you thinking in a different way. Not to say, now I have heard, know people that got out of prison and maybe after 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years, they've been home, then they step back into, but they know how to moderize it. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? They got moderation with it. They don't just take it and go crazy with it. And that's a form of abuse when you
Yeah.
do it like that, So, but I do encourage ones not to even indulge in any kind of mind altering substances that may get you off the path of doing what you need to be doing to get back foundated in society. Let me put
Yeah.
it like that, man. But
Definitely. And a lot of our friends and
help if
family.
you need help. If you need help, man, there's one thing that I learned from my incarceration and being home for I've been home 26 years now, man. Don't be afraid to ask, man. If you need help, you need help. You just can't don't just sit back and struggle. And you got people that's reaching out that can help you. And sometimes you may not even think that you might not want the help, but you need the help. If you lacking in a certain area of your life, man, it's somebody that can help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
that's a
a
fact.
lot of us feel like we may have because you got a lot of returning citizens that have mental disorders. You know, me and a brother
Mhm.
talking about that a few minutes ago. Talking about his palate, certain foods that he don't like to eat, and certain conditions that we put ourselves in out here in society now that can trigger some certain things. I've been triggered a couple of times since I've been home, man, but I haven't really was able to control it. You know,
Yeah.
even with coming home and knowing and used to having a certain thing, man. Some of us try to, I'm just gonna hit this one more lick, man, and it's gonna be it forever. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get back into doing that because you might get away with it a couple of times, and then eventually, just like how you got caught the first time, something gonna come up to where you're gonna wind up having to show and prove, and now you want to get away. So
Yeah.
it's not even start getting back into that criminality of things, trying to figure out how to make some money the quick way. There's only
Yeah.
one way to make some legit money the right way, and that's and I'm quite sure ones know you got to invest your money and you got to utilize your finances the right way to take care of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. The only way to really enact change is to really change all the way around. You got to come home and separate yourself away from those old friend circles that you used to hang around. You have to surround yourself around total new environment because prison doesn't do anything for you as far as helping you change. It's really upon self and upon yourself to enact change from within, however way that you can do that. And that's where we struggle with the system and having reentry services because if we don't spend a lot of time developing people, right, in prison, we just kind of let people do their own thing, like the brother mentioned. Like you can just hang out in your cell all day if you want. Now it's mandatory. You have to have a job or you have to go to school. So they go to school and get the basic GED, but after that, there's no real development unless you can sign up for college, which some men are doing, and they're taking advantage of those things. But if you're not really focusing on educating yourself and developing yourself personally, when you get released, it's even worse because now you back out here to what you know. So if you go back to the old things and the old ways, like you said, your people's coming home, if they just throwing drinks in your face, drugs in your face, your first day home on a party, this is not going to be the right environment for you to help you change. So our families have to understand that in order to support our loved ones in a proper way, right, to help them change and to help to give them the support that they need. They don't always need to come home to a party, right?
You know what, bro? Right quick, we was talking about that. Who was I talking to that about? I think it was a brother Harrison Neal from Icon 10 and a brother Maddox Bay. We talked about a debriefing. You know, ones that come home from prison need to be get a debriefing before they get back into doing what they out in society, man. Because this is things that they need to be learned. This is things that they need to know about. It's some things that they may have to let you know about them. You know, so you get a debriefing. Just like when you come out of the services, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you go to war and you done kill all these people over there wherever you done killed them at, and then you come back over here to your family. You need, before you get to your family, they're gonna give you a debriefing. Like you no longer that killer no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go back to being a family individual that you used to be, and that's hard to get back. So I'm just speaking on that the aspect of being in prison, because when you in prison, you see a lot of stuff that you're not gonna normally see out here in society. So you need to debrief yourself about certain situations where you're gonna be at and how you conduct yourself back into society, man. Partying is not one of them, guaranteed, because the parties that they have in prison, it could cause somebody to lose their life. It could cause somebody to just get beat up by the police or locked up or be put in a hole, because they have drugs in prison. They have alcohol in prison. And if you know what alcohol do to your, that's why they call them spirits. If you know what the alcohol do to your spirits, it could bring out somebody that you never seen before and cause chaos. So you don't want to get a returning citizen to come home and offer him a shot of what's they drinking, Quavo, Hennessy, whatever drink that's gonna stimulate their mind to start drinking and then start acting like they in prison.
Exactly. And that you hit it dead on the head with the debriefing. I like that because one of the things so I'm building a reentry program right now for Jackson. And one of the things that I mentioned in that program is we need a way to quickly catch people up to speed with a lot of different areas. Technology being one that many people can understand. These phones change so much. So if you have a person that's been down, like you said, if you have somebody that's down 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, technology has changed so much since they've been last free. So they're going to have a lot of troubles with technology. We understand that. But there's a lot of things that we don't talk about that needs to be introduced and needs to be talked about, and we need to have education on some of the social things with society. Men need understanding on, because 20 years ago today, it was acceptable that when you saw a nice woman on the street, you could say, "Hello, you are very beautiful. Can I have your phone number, ma'am? I would love to take you on a date." Now, if you did that today, you jump out the whip and hop out on the chick and tell her she's very beautiful, you want her phone number, she might mace you, because just the society is just different. They date on the computer nowadays, so you have to teach people, like, this is not the way that it used to be before. Some things about society have changed. Just some of our social constructs have changed. Ideologies have changed. All of these things change over time, and we need education upon that when we get released. So yeah, our families need to sit us down and give us a debriefing. This has changed over the years. Now we don't do this no more. We do this, and it's not proper for you to do this. And social media etiquette, right? How many times you been at home or doing something and you get somebody just randomly calls you on Facebook Messenger? You're like, I never talked to this person before ever, and they just randomly calling you. You know?
And you know what else, bro? Right quick, to interrupt you with that, but being on social media first coming home. Once you learn how to get on social media, it could take you. It could either take you up or it could bring you down. You know what I'm saying? Because the content on social media is what you following. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? So it could take away from you even getting up in the morning, going to take care of your business out in society because you stuck on social media doing whatever, following behind somebody else or trying to see what somebody else is doing on social media. So, it's something good to have, but as a returning citizen, you need to utilize that platform for positivity. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
They got Indeed, they got other groups that you could join to help you along your way, not just following what a lot of people do now, just following TikTok or following certain search platforms that's going to deter you from progressing. You
Yeah.
know, it definitely is a distraction. Having that access to a platform or a phone that can take you wherever all across the world. So you want to be able, as a returning citizen, you want to utilize that platform to your benefit, not to your, you know, getting on there like the brother was saying, going back and forth with people and the etiquette of social media. When you on here, you want to be able to be in a space where you comfortable at, where you getting the help that you need.
Hmm.
That's why this is created. This is here to create it to help the returning citizens as a neighbor, regardless of where you from or where you're on your way to, that you can be able to tap into this and understand that on here, we here for guidance, man. We here for guidance, and we here for resources. That's
Exactly.
that's why I'm here. I want to put it. Now I hope that the brother that's here for some of the same reasons, and the other people that come onto this platform is here for their same reasons. But the reason why we here is to accommodate our brothers and sisters that's coming home from prison that need the support. Uh, Besides their family members, because their family members need the support as well. Some family members don't know what to do when you get here. I hope you get them a job. I hope you do this. And we just talking about the first 2-3 days coming home. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now, when you get off into the other days, how long it's going to take you to do that,
Hmm.
whole nother different the whole nother different scenario.
Oh yeah, because family will put pressure on you too. Family will put a lot of pressure on you when you're sleeping on their couch. They it'd
Now,
be nice. It'd be all right for the first 3 days. You might be good for the first three.
stuck on that phone. You just stuck on that phone. You know what I'm saying? So you're not doing what you say you're gonna do. For the first, I know for experience, man. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not, but right, for experience, man. The first 5 years of being out of prison is actually gonna show how you gonna, if you can stay out here or not.
Oh, facts.
If you ain't out here after 5 years from when you got out, if you didn't did within them 5 years, I can guarantee you that anybody that's on this podcast or look at this podcast gonna say that first 5 years, that first 2 years, I may have made some decisions that I shouldn't have made.
Mhm.
The brother Oso, I can't wait for him to get on here because he got a lot of stuff he could talk about from before his first 5 years. I don't even think he's been home 5 years yet. But this brother done been shot. You know what I'm saying? Brothers, people get out, man, and
Oh,
get off in
stuff.
situations that may cause him to go back to prison or harm somebody else. So, I even try to get off into illegal activities. The first 3 years, you get past that three, but the first five, you out here, if you've been out of prison for 5 years and you ain't looked back and you ain't went back to prison or you ain't been caught up in no kind of nonsense or not, welcome home.
Yes, it's been 11 years for me, and I know, like you said, that first five, that's when it's the most challenging. But you get to see what you made of those first 5 years. And I tell you, I had to do a year of parole after incarceration, and I quickly got my parole agent off my back. Like she didn't bother me at all. And I'll tell you what she said to me. I had came home immediately. I didn't have no job, but I think I worked at the plaza. I took the job as an Easter bunny in the plaza, putting on the Easter bunny suit for the Easter pictures. And when I went to the PO office and I told her, I was like, "Yo, I'm the Easter bunny." She laughed. You know what I'm saying? She laughed her butt off. She was like, "You gonna be the Easter bunny?" I said, "Heck yeah!" They giving me $12 an hour under the table. I'm on it. You know. So I think my second job after that, I worked on the golf course for the city of Jackson. On the golf course, and I was just doing all of their grunt work, all of the landscaping grunt work, heavy lifting stuff, weed whacking all of the traps, the sand traps, all day long, hard work for little money, And when she seen I took that job, she was like, "Man, you'll do whatever for your family, huh? Take care of your family." I said, "Yeah, I'll do any job. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? As long as it keep me free." And
Mm-hmm.
after that moment, she kind of left me alone. That I didn't get any home checks. I didn't get any like no extra riffraff with her. It was just she saw that I was on a mission. She seen that I was willing to do whatever, and she even seen how because she would get my checks. She would look at my paycheck stubs to verify my hours worked and things like that. And she would see how much child support was taken from me. They was taking 55% of my income, and she would talk about that and how challenging that was for me at that time. But she seen that I had a good support system. So when she seen all of that, she was like, "Man, this guy really trying to get out here and do what he got to do." So she didn't become no interference for me. You know what I mean? So I give people this advice when they come home is just never quit. You know what I'm saying? Grind hard and focus on your mission. If your mission is to get your children back, or if your mission is to reestablish yourself, just focus on that. And if you can focus on that, eventually you'll get what you want and things will happen for you the way that they need to happen. But if you don't come home with no plan, if you come home thinking that everything is a game, you quickly get lost out here because it's so many things, there's so many distractions that'll cause you, like you said, to get back into the streets. Many times I would go through holidays and not have enough money to buy my son a Christmas gift, because they taking so much money from me. I'm still working these little jobs that I can get. But that feeling as a man, like, man, I can't do what I want to do for my child. You know what I'm saying? That could cause you to go back and make bad decisions in the streets, right? But for me, I learned to ask for help, not be too prideful to say, I need some help. And when I started to do that, people started to help me. I started to get resources. I started to find resources. God would make a way. I would have people come, donate presents, do all kind of things, get my kids on the angel program, and all of a sudden they get all these presents donated to them. So throughout the journey, everything would work out the way that it needed to work out, you know, when I started to ask up and not feel like I had to do everything on my own. And that's the hardest thing for us is if we don't have a good support system of people around us that can help build that, you
And
know.
brother Justin, man, it's a way you know, and this is just information. I'm just because we firsthand information.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to build your own support system. You got to
Hmm.
build your own support system, man. Everybody ain't here to help you. Everybody here that might want to help can't help because it's
Hmm.
always saying, and I take people to this when they say it because and when you lose a loved one and they say, if I could do anything that I could help you with, and you put them to well, give me I need $5,000 to get the burial situations coming in. If they already offered you they help and they not willing to give that to you or give you some of that, then they not really gonna help you. So you get around the people that that can help you in that capacity of what you need to help in. So if I needed some help with a job. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do the things I need to do, but I'm gonna look to the people that's working that maybe can help me. So put a good word in for me so I can get a job. And they tell me, well, I can put a word in at my job for you, man. But when you get here, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to conduct yourself this way, you got to conduct your way that way. I can get you the job. Those are, that's people that you want to build a relationship with because they telling you what they can do, and they gonna act on it. You know,
Yeah.
you want to build, and you don't need a whole bunch of people. You don't need a you don't you, 4, 5 good people, 4, 6, 7 good people. You know what I'm saying, to help you along your way to get where you're going to get. That's willing to actually sacrifice some out of their life, because that's what at the end of the day, viewers, it's a sacrificial thing for me to sacrifice some things in my life to help another person out. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm gonna get a blessing behind it, but some people may not see the blessing that I'm gonna get behind it. But I already got the vision of how individuals need to be when they get out, because I've been through it. When you out here trying to find a job, man, I always, when you in prison, I'm always confer back to prison, because I learned a lot of stuff in prison that I wouldn't even thought I would have learned about out here in society. Talking to certain individuals in prison gave me some guidance. It's everybody in prison ain't dummies. Everybody in prison ain't. You got some killers in there, but you got some educated people that's in prison as well that can give you some knowledge if you obtain that knowledge and be right with it.
Right.
You know what I'm
That's a
saying?
fact.
So when you line up with people like that, you're gonna come out and be successful. You're gonna come out and stay the course. But I always thought of a job as, man, you can make your own job, man. When you in prison, you come up with a hustle. People making cookies, they making cakes, they making cook-ups. When they got art stuff going on, so you come home, you stay in that fashion. Let me build me a job. Washing windows is a job. Washing cars is a job. You know what I'm saying? Picking up debris is a job. Cutting grass is a job. You just got to get yourself together. If you have a driver's license, go get you a trailer. If you can't afford a trailer, go rent you a trailer, get you some flyers. People need their house, garage cleaned out. People need stuff cleaned out. That's a job. That's a business for yourself. And social media make it so obvious, so convenient to where you can post what you got going on, and just when them people call you to come do the service, go do the service. And they're gonna what's that word? They're gonna imply you to somebody else, recommend you to somebody else. Somebody else that did whatever you did for somebody else need that same service. So they'll recommend you, and now you got you a job. Now you working. You might just start off with a 2-man crew. You and your people. You on parole. Your family member ain't got a job. Y'all come together and build some finances for yourself, and you can go from there.
That is one good thing that I see a lot of men that are returning home nowadays. A lot of men that return home from prison nowadays start businesses. And I see a lot of them. I know a lot of young men out here. They come home and they do just like you said. And it's because society has a hard time giving us those opportunities. And as I became a case manager, I started to understand like the social aspects of it and some of the gender and what they call unconscious bias that's involved, just even with the term felon, formerly incarcerated. There's a poll that they sent across America, and they asked people to close their eyes. And when you picture the word felon, prisoner, inmate, what do you see, right? And the average person said they see a drug dealer, right? So then they asked them, well, what does a drug dealer look like in your mind? And they said somebody black or Hispanic, right? So in the general public, the idea of a prisoner, an ex-convict, a felon, most of the times we associate that with like a drug dealer, rapist, murderer, right? And a lot of times they associate that as a black man, colored brown man, right? So society, when we come home from prison, right, we see the statistics, right? We see this unequal balance of numbers. We see white men can come home from prison, right, and get better jobs. They get jobs in construction and trades, right? Easy. The black male, the brown male comes home. He struggles to get those type of opportunities. He struggles to get those type of jobs. And that's because of psychology and unconscious bias. We've even found a way to soften the white ex-convict by creating a term, white-collar crimes, right? White-collar crimes is looked at as softer crime. It's less violent. So the average person, when they think of a felon and then they see a white man come, they think of someone who is nonviolent, is usually someone that we can give an opportunity to. So we see a disparity upon racial gaps and racial, separation and racial, people, them getting those same opportunities, the available of those opportunities. So a lot of people of color, they come home and they have to create their own because they're not given those chances. They're not letting them jump into construction. They're not letting them become truck drivers. Well, they are now. They letting everybody become truck driver. They don't care who you is. Come pass the test, we get you on. So a lot of brothers have to find different ways to create income for themselves. And me, I had to create the hustle for a living because for me, I had to, just simply because I couldn't get those high paying opportunities, because anytime it would come to criminal background checks, all of that things, they didn't care. They didn't care how long I was released from prison. They didn't care that I was on nonviolent crimes. I just wasn't given those opportunities. And when I was, it was usually on the lower end of the pay scale. So for me, I always had to supplement my income by creating legal hustles. And that's what you mentioned. Sometimes it might be cutting grass. Sometimes it might be taking pictures and videos. Sometimes it might be doing flyers for somebody, doing events and things like that. But I would have to find other ways to subsidize my income myself in order for me to have something. So that's a very real thing for people that are coming home from incarceration, and we have to have that understanding when we're trying to support them, because it is challenging for everybody involved. It's challenging for our families because there's another mouth that you have to feed, you have to support, another person that's in your space, and you might want them gone fast and all of these things. But at the same time, in order for them to be successful, we have to learn how to support them, right? And that's what this show is about too, is also for our families to teach them how to support us, the things that we need. So before we get into that though, we got to get a quick commercial, man. We got to get our sponsor in real quick, man. We'll be right back. Quick shout out to today's sponsor, Printer Source Plus in Jackson, Michigan, proudly serving our area since 2006. Printer Source Plus delivers tailored printing solutions from desktop printers and scanners to wide format copiers and shredders from top brands like Epson, Brothers, Samsung, and Kyocera. Over 19 years, they've been your go-to for top quality and affordability. You need to check them out. Why choose them? Their private label ink and toner reduces your cost by up to 50% compared to OEM, backed by 100% lifetime guarantee. All right, man, we're back. So we're talking about that support system and those first critical hours upon release. We talked about some of the challenges that we face, some of the feelings that we have. Let's now switch gears and let's talk about what could we do as far as systems in order to better support people upon coming home. That's the first step. Like, what can we do as far as changing systems? What can we add? What do we need to do to better support people when they first come home?
Come out of my mouth was, man, we need the support of the supporters. You know what I'm saying? Now I know it's a lot of organizations out here. Some of them been successful and some of them have not. But the concept of these organizations like Nation Outside was formulated under individuals that was returning back to society as a nation of people that had felons or whatever. They was doing well, doing good, but in an aspect of them doing what they was doing, they wind up losing funding. And once you lose that funding, it's hard to be able to continue to do the things that organization was able to do. So one of the things I feel that we should do as returning citizens and other returning citizens that's already got a good foundation is to start putting out entrepreneurship programming. You know what I'm saying? Things where they can make some money and build some money. So, we in the video they talked about housing. It's not hard to get a house. You know what I'm saying? If you got the right, the right letter. I mean, the right to people. I mean, not the right people, but the right. Um, it's a word I'm looking for, man. But if you got the right paperwork, you can get a house. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You
the right.
birthday, you got this, if you got that, affordable housing can be had. But for returning citizens, I feel that we need to come together and set aside some of the knowledge and some of the things that we know and bring them out. Set those things aside and then bring, well, I got this, what we're going to be doing. We're going to be rehabbing homes. You know what I'm saying? So that's an opportunity for some jobs, you know, and we're gonna show you how to rehab these homes. So once we show her, we can build on helping each other out. So when, it won't be necessary to when I get out, I can't find a house because I don't pass my credit ain't this particular way. Or I've been in prison. I've been to prison. You know, so if we build a foundation to where we helping one another. You know, it don't take. That's like when you. I'm always, like I say, I'm always resort back to prison, man, because you learn a lot from that. You know, when people come together, they make things happen. You know what I'm saying? So if we was able to just say, well, we gonna buy this one house in Jackson, or we gonna buy this one house in Detroit, or we gonna buy this one house wherever at in a neighborhood to where they have returning citizens come, and we're gonna fix this house up, and this particular home is gonna be just for those individuals. They got programs in the city right here now. The brother Dawood, uh, from a religious organization, they build home, they do rehab homes, and they do have their people that's coming home, stay in these homes, and to get themselves together. And then once they get themselves together, they can come out and let the next person, you know, occupy it, and they buy them a home, or they buy the home that they fix, they working on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, so it's a way to do it, and we just have to target certain areas that need that help. I know Detroit need it, Flint need it, Jackson need it, maybe all the urban areas in each state probably need that. You know what I'm saying? But in order for that to happen, it has to be like a nation outside, you know,
Mhm.
and you can't really depend on the government to assist you on everything that you're trying to do. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
there is no DHS office for the formerly incarcerated person. There is no resource center for us returning neighbors to come home and get resources. Currently in Jackson, landlords are able to deny you housing based upon just you having a felony conviction on your record. I've been denied housing for the last 10 years. I've been free from incarceration for 11 years. I've been dealing with that for 10 years. I get denied housing. They use several things to deny me. They use my credit, which, of course, a lot of brothers and sisters, when you come home, a lot of us don't have credit, or our credit is bad, or we don't know how to manage credit, or we don't understand credit. They use my credit, they used your felonies, and then they also use a new way to discriminate against us is your income amount. In Jackson, for most landlords, you have to make 3 times the amount of the rent. So currently, a 1 bedroom is going to run you about $1,000 a month. So you, as a single person, have to show that you have $3,000 a month in income in order to afford that 1 bedroom apartment. So using all of these factors and all of these stipulations, it creates a environment where the person that's formerly incarcerated, is almost impossible for them to get their own place. They're discriminated against, and they waste application fees, $100 application fees, $50 application fees, applying for places just to get denied. So when you have systems like that in place that are actually able to discriminate against a population, that's just another barrier that's stopping them, that's hindering them from changing, making the real changes and getting that full redemption that they deserve.
Yeah, but one of the main things is like when coming home, man, people need to be employed. That's one thing that you're not. What's that one saying? Finance with romance is a nuisance. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So you're not gonna come home, man. If you you know, and you're not about to come home and try to without no finance and be trying to be in certain relationships with people and stuff like that because it's going to become a nuisance to that, you know. So, well, as returning citizens, if we learn a trade or helps that we can help one another out, You know, like that's the thing. If we can help one another out, build it. You know, and be serious about building what you need to build. Because I do know people now, man, that's coming home that, like you said, some of these halfway houses don't let you come in their house. You know what I'm saying? So why we need to build our own space for that. You know what I'm saying? You could take something and make it out of nothing, like I was saying earlier. You could take something and make it out of nothing. The next, you could build a 4-family flat or a 2-family flat, an 8-unit house or whatever. We have to invest our money with each other. You know what I'm saying? And have that commitment. You know, invest with a commitment. You know, and this organizations may step in and help. Some of these organizations is not 501c3s. They can take money and help you. You know, so you have to look out for that. But at the end of the day, as a returning citizen that's coming home to families that you may have a wife or you may have some children that you haven't seen, some young adults, things of that nature, is, you know, you just know that they want to know what you're gonna do too. What's your plan? And sometimes your children then got to the point where they can help you foundate some of the things that you need to do to help you with, if they're capable of doing it, and if you're showing them that you're willing to do what you need to be doing. You know, so it's a lot coming home and sticking together and being together. You know what I'm saying? Not just coming home and saying, well, I'm here now. And sometimes people do need a space. You know, you give a person some space, you know, so they can get their lives together. But like the brother Justin said, you know, you got to come out here with a plan, man. If you ain't got a plan, I try to talk to people with a plan, then you're going to be wondering what you're going to be doing, and it's easy to fall victim to crime. It's easy to fall victim to abuse. It could cause a lot of mishaps with you.
Yeah, you mentioned halfway houses. I don't think we have any left in Jackson, but that's something that we need. And I think, like you said, we are going to need some organizations to start putting some focus in it, some focus and attention on our returning neighbors. But I think they have to understand the why first. And I think that we have to spend some time educating people on why we need to support these type of services, why it's important, and then what the outcomes of it will be. Because a lot of people just have that mindset, like, you know, F around and find out, you shouldn't have did that. That's what you get, right? But they don't understand that once you come home, right, you've paid your dues for doing that crime, right? You've paid yours, right? You've received all the punishment that you're supposed to have. But currently in today's society, we have a habit of continuing that punishment forever, right? With forever policies, with the mindset of, we're never giving people a chance for true redemption, for that chance to really start over. When we're denying them housing, we're denying them jobs, we're denying them opportunities. So we have to have more organizations, more agencies making a conscious effort to support people that are returning back into society, because this is why we named it this, returning neighbors, because these are people that are going to be returning back into your community where you live at, right? Around the corner from you. They're going to work at the Walmart. They're going to work at the detail shop. They're going to oil change place. So these are returning neighbors, right? If we want to build stronger and safer communities, we have to support all of our people. And people that are coming home, they have wonderful skills. They have a drive. We have a drive that nobody else has. He mentioned several times about how we start businesses, we start hustles. Men and women that are on parole, we have to have a job. We have to maintain a job just to stay free. So jobs. Stop looking at people that are formerly incarcerated and looking at them as trash, like things to just discard. They're not worth the opportunity, because today we're showing that we have a lot to offer in business. We have a lot to offer in nonprofit spaces. We have a lot to offer in every space of society, because we have lived experience. We have lived experience. Men are in prison. Even if you do a long period of time in prison, you're working in a job. So even if you're a porter, right? That's 10 years worth of janitorial experience. Hire that man. Hire that man to clean your offices.
And
Right? He got 10 years of experience.
one thing about hiring a returning citizen, I know when I first started working, man, I started out in a flower shop.
Mm-hmm.
Cause that's the only thing. Either was gonna be the flower shop or I was gonna be going back to breaking and entering. You know, so and I wasn't trying to go back to breaking and entering, trying to take stuff. So I got a job at a flower shop, man, and I got embraced at this historic flower shop in Detroit, Brazenton's Florist. He hired me, and my grandfather was the one that went on my interview with me. You know what I'm saying? I had at that time my grandfather was like 87 years old. You know, he was trying to get me on the right path. He was like, I know I had to get a job, but only skill that I had that I knew was how to arrange flowers and deliver. I knew the flower industry because I worked in New York in that industry down there with the flowers. So make a long story short, I got accepted with him. And I showed him what I knew how to do, and he had me do what I had to do, and he embraced me. I was making some decent money, but I wanted to come home and get I wanted a family, man. You know what I'm saying? Because people think, for a lot of us that go to prison, man, they don't ever think the lifestyle that I was living, the things that I was doing, it was only two ways where I was going to be at, either dead or in the cemetery. So I was neither one of them. So I made in my head that that's not what I'm going to be. So I went to truck driving school, you know, and once I went there, and people will try, if you got a returning citizen working for you, man, they're going to work. Let me tell you, because I know I was working. And you get the trust of the person that you're working for, they're gonna help you out along the way too. They're gonna be like, here goes something extra for you. So, but my problem was I didn't want to make that my life. I had other means of, I wanted to I can't raise a family working in a flower shop. I couldn't unless I owned it. You know what I'm saying? So when I went to truck, my grandfather, you know, he kind of, your family members kind of notice that you're not comfortable doing what you're doing. Let me put it like, because you can come home and get a job at some factory somewhere, man, and your family member be like, they working this, excuse the expression, I don't know if we can curse on this platform, but they working the S out of me, you know. And you coming home tired, you can't do no leisure activities and nothing because you got to go back to work. That could be stressful on your mind as well. So be careful of the job that you work unless that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know? So I didn't really want to stay at the flower shop. So I got in truck. My grandfather paid the money, got me in the truck driving school, man. And when I went back to the flower shop to tell his son, Mr. Brazenton, I'm just gonna make it publicly now, he told me something that blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm a good worker and everything. I know you love me to be here. I'm on time every day. I do the assignments that you asked me to do. I'm doing keeping the shop clean and all that. But he told me something to the nature, right? Why you trying to drive trucks? You already got a job. That's what he said. I never forget what he said. Why you trying to drive a truck? You already got a job. Like, this is where I want to be for the rest of my life. I said, man, I want more than a job. I want a career. You know, I'm not me having a driver's license and utilizing that driver's license to have me a career. I can go across the country with this.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to let them know that. So when people get out of prison, man, it's okay to work for somebody, man. But my whole thing, and if you're a hustler, you always know you hustling, but you want the next person that you hustling with, you want them to reach where you at as well. So you don't want to have a hustle. You don't want to have a person, you know, and that come from experience from the drug selling. You know what I'm saying? You go buy this, he fronting you this, but you want to have your own money. You want to have your own clientele. You want to have your own business. It's just flip that script a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I had to let him know. Now I got a career. You know, now I can drive for any company that I want to drive for. I can open up, I can do what I want to do. I can raise a family. I done raised a family already. You know what I'm saying? Because of that put more finances in my pocket to send my children to school and make necessities for the next generation.
Do you recommend brothers that come home today to get into truck driving?
Yeah. And it's a wide range. Transportation is a wide range of driving. Period. You know what I'm saying? You could, before I got locked up, they didn't have Uber, they didn't have Lyft and all that. They didn't have that. But a brother mentioned to me over the weekend that certain felons can't do DoorDash, they can't do Lyft, they can't do certain situations because of their record. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But here it is, you got. I'm just gonna iterate on this right here. Here it is, you got Uber drivers that don't have no felons abusing people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That don't make that make sense.
It don't make no sense. I got fired from Walmart Spark delivery service. And I have been working it for a while. You know, I was making good money, almost like $30 an hour sometimes, just doing deliveries for the groceries. And I got an email one day, and it said that Walmart had did the random background checks, blah blah blah, and my felonies popped up, and they terminated me from the platform, even though that I had a perfect rating, on time rating, a perfect 5-star rating from customers. None of that mattered. They just saw my record and automatically denied me. So that's the common theme for us, when we are returning it back into society. It's that common theme of being told no, that common theme of being told, no, you're not good enough. We don't want you here. We don't allow you to do this. So that becomes frustrating for a person. I remember signing up for college, and I wanted to go to college for business. I was like, I'm going to go back for business management because I'm a supreme hustler. I understand business. So I signed up for Baker College, our community college. And I remember they told me, they was like, you got a felony? I'm like, yeah, I'm just getting off parole. I'm off parole. I graduated off of that. They was like, well, we got to do a background check on you just in case. And then we got to get permission to see if you can go to school here. And I'm like, dang, I'm not violent. I'm not a pedophile. Never had a sex case, nothing like that. I'm like, I just have financial crimes on my record. Like, why would I have to go through all of that, this application process, and then I gotta ask for permission to be on your college campus? I'm like, that's a lot of hurdles. And I remember just walking away from it, like, forget it, I ain't gonna go back to school. This ain't for me, you know. So another opportunity that I'm turned away from just because you have a record. So I understand that this happens to a lot of people, a lot of men and women all across our country. So what can we do to change that? Like you said, we have to create our own opportunities, and we need the people that have the means, the financial means or the knowledge to create opportunities to do so. I'm on a national call with people that are formerly incarcerated from all across the country. And there's brothers and sisters that are coming home, and they build up those ecosystems, those businesses. Like you said, they're buying houses, and then they're housing people that are coming home, giving them somewhere to live, and then giving them skills. They put them back to work. They might work landscaping jobs, right? And every day they get to go out and work landscaping, earn a paycheck for themselves, and have somewhere stable, safe to live, because they getting housing, and they subsidizing that by working, right? So we need opportunities like that. We need people to be able to invest in us a little bit, especially when it comes to housing, because if I don't have nowhere to lay my head, like, that's just the basic foundational principle, like, of reentry. If I don't have anywhere to lay my head, how can I think about changing my life? How can I think about anything other than just base survival skills?
Right quick, when you get these journalmans, you could get a journeyman, a person that's qualified and licensed, that mastered a certain skill set of a journeyman in electricity, concrete, building. You got journeymen that if the returning neighbors can link up with some of these journeymen that got the license to help other people, just show them how to do the work. Or we could work up under a journeyman. If you got an electrician and he got a legal electrician's journeyman's license, he could actually bring on individuals to show them the basic skills of wiring a house. You know what I'm saying? And he could show them the basic skills. You could get a journeyman that's journalized in concrete that could show you the journeymanship of helping you build a porous concrete for a foundation. You know, and that we need to look in that capacity of helping our neighbors out that's coming home, because if I can learn the skill, maybe I don't know how to I don't know how to do the work, but if I'm working under somebody that's licensed and certified to show me how to do that, then maybe I know the basics, and maybe with the basics I can take that and further myself. You know, and I'm saying this to say another thing, when I came home, I started doing landscaping. You know, I got my CDL driver's license, right, and I got into a kind of an incident, man. And this is for the people that got driver's license that's working professionally. Uh, don't get caught with no kind of alcohol, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because they will suspend your license for 2 years, and after you get your CDL license back, it's hard getting back into that focus and getting into that mainstream. You know, so I had caught a DUI. You know, and that's something that being a truck driver that you don't want, because it takes away from a lot of things. But I had to think, you know what I'm saying? This is my profession. So I had to link up with somebody that I could work with. So I started working with this landscaping company. And to the brother that hired me for that landscaping company, he had other machines, you know, industrious machines. I learned how to drive a skidster. If ones don't know what that was, an excavator. He taught me, and I was driving a dump truck. So I learned how to utilize that equipment. You know,
Yeah.
and once I learned how to utilize that equipment and got back to once I got back into the stream of truck driving, I still had I started doing my own landscaping stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how to work the equipment, and I learned how to do that through him. So I'm just full circuiting. If you're working with somebody that's licensed, that's certified and doing whatever they're doing, you can learn from them to learn yourself to do the same thing they doing, and provide for your community as well.
Exactly, man. We're gonna take a look at this infographic we made. Switch over here. It's called Reclaiming the Narrative. This is the journey of successful reintegration for black men, especially us, because we can only speak from the black male perspective, us being black men. So one of the things that you have to have is you got to learn how to strip away that prison mindset, first of all. When you come at home, we call that the deprisonization, that unlearning process. You got to make a conscious unlearning of all of those incarcerated survival skills, the behaviors that we actually embrace, that we take on to survive prison. You got to drop all of those things, right? And we have to start shifting our mindset from prison to being free, right? We can't make that mind shift change without solid understanding, solid support from our family, having a safe, sound environment to be able to focus on that healing journey, right? We spoke on a lot of these things already, but I'm just putting it out here for you to see an actual full structure. We talked about the navigation of the structural barriers, all of those different things. Those are where we need to infuse the support system. We need to infuse organizations, agencies. Everybody has to come on board with this, right? We have to have more attention being paid on systems to make sure that systems aren't still playing those same old tricks on us that are keeping us away from opportunities. We have to do a better job of teaching brothers other ways to subsidize their income through entrepreneurship, skill building, like you said, getting trades, learning how to drive trucks, all of those things. And then creating that sustainability by building families, restoring the family structure, rebuilding that trust and providing emotional presence, right? being that pillar again, learning those things. So we have to transition to all these different phases. And then the last thing, we need that financial literacy, right, to keep us going. That financial literacy is the most important piece. We have to understand credit, learn how to open up a bank account and leverage your bank account, and understanding credit and learning how to leverage credit and how to make credit make money for you. Those are all of the tools that we need to help us reclaim the narrative, right? To change it. Because we aren't prisoners. That's why we don't call ourselves ex-convicts. We don't call ourselves felons. We're no longer felons, right? You're not defined by the mistake that you made, right? We call ourselves returning neighbors because we have to take back that narrative. We have to change our mindsets to being free, right? To have self-esteem, to have trust, to feel like that you are worthy of something. That's what the focus needs to be on. And we can do something better in creating more programs to help people get to this understanding. Because sometimes we need a brother or a sister like us that we can identify with, that can actually say, hey, brother Justin, you don't got to do this. Like, let me show you this way over here. You know, you could come drive trucks with me. You know, you can make this money over here with me. We don't got to be over here. You know, we ain't got to go do that. Let me show you this over here. Like, did you know that you are important, that you special, and that you loved? You know what I'm saying? Do you know that you got this gift? Do you know that you can be this? Sometimes we need that outside influence from someone that looks like us to help guide us, because we all don't have that same amazing support system. Like my brother said, some of us don't have anybody. You know, imagine being incarcerated for 20 years and all of your family and loved ones that you knew, they all passed away, they gone. You come home with no one. Your dad been gone for years, your mama been gone for years. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Them people come home to nothing, no support system. So sometimes you have to build your own support system, like the brother mentioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know.
Man, if y'all got any questions, I'm sorry, real quick. If y'all got any questions, anybody that's watching, that's listening, please submit your questions in the comments. If we don't catch you on the live, we will answer for you next week, and we'll try to have that question answered for you. Everybody can get their comments, their opinions out there. Tell us what your experiences are. If you've had experiencing upon release certain things that we mentioned, or if we didn't mention it, please leave us a comment or mention a message and let us know. You know, talk.
And definitely, I want to say this, man. Share this information, man, because we're not here just for a talk show. Let me say that, man. That we here seriously, putting in the work, not trying to actually making ways for individuals to come home to neighborize with here with us in Michigan, man. Michigan is a huge place, man, and I'm quite sure it's people across the state of Michigan that can tap into what we got going on here, and that we can assist you there, or you can assist us here. One of the things that I did want to speak on, that we do need to happen as neighbors, is we need to get to know each other. That's the main thing of having a neighbor, man. If you own your own house, or if you in somewhere where you living in anywhere, you need to know the people that's living next door to you or across the street from you. So one of the things that we emphasize, that I'm emphasizing, that I'm here for, is to let's neighbor up, man, and let's communicate with one another, because everybody knows somebody that's been to prison, and that's been out of prison. And like we spoke on that 5 years, some of y'all ain't even into y'all second year, man. Y'all going through some things, and you can't tell me you're not. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are coming out here, man, trying to shell yourselves away from society, man, when you don't need to be in that shell, because you got to step out of that shell, man, and get to the business. So that's what neighbors do. That's what, neighbors help neighbors out. If we could help each other out while we was incarcerated, and we could help each other out while we was in a condition where we had people with their foot on our necks and telling us what to do and how to do it, and we was refining on trying to say to them, I'm not going to let you're not going to be the person who tell me what to do, and you're going to do what you want to do, but you're going to do it in the right fashion. Those are good neighbors, man. Those are good neighbors.
Exactly. I make it a habit of when I see young men that come home from the joint, I welcome them home, but I always reach out to them with a message asking them if they need any resources or help, or if they just need somebody to kick it with, to holler at me, because understanding that sometimes we just need positive males to be around, role models that we can bounce off ideas with, people that we can talk to in confidence, people that can help navigate the system for us. We need to build more of that, and I call those peer mentors, peer specialists. Right? We need more reentry navigators, people that have been through the reentry process, like Brother Dion. He has over 20 years experience of navigating the system after incarceration. So he's lived through 20 years of everything that you're going through right now. All of those feelings, those emotions, the lack of resources, all of those things, we've had to navigate those things. So to have someone like that as a resource that you can call, like, hey, brother, you know any spots that I can get a job that won't be tripping? Hey, brother, do you know any spots that got housing right now that let me get a house, or let me, you know what I'm saying? Or, hey, brother, can you teach me how I can be prepared to buy a house like you did? What did you do? Who did you talk to? Just to have that resource, right? Brothers need that, man. And we wanna let people know that you're not by yourself. You don't have to feel like that there's nobody out there to help you, because there is. We just have to be better at making ourselves known that we out here for you. So this is what the podcast is about. We want brothers and sisters to have some resources, to have and build that network amongst people with like minds, with like lived experiences, because together, joining the community, it'll make us stronger, but it'll also grow our personal resources, our network, because everybody has something special to bring to the table. And I think we can really show the community, right, the change that we wish to see in the world, and it needs to be led by us.
Yeah.
So this is our call to action right now. We're calling all people that are returning neighbors. We want you to come, be a part of everything. We want you to come together. We have all of these organizations here on the bottom, different organizations that we work with, that we're a part of. But there are many more that we need to add on here, and will be added on here soon. But we're building up this network of people with like minds that want to support, that want to help grow and make safer communities all across Michigan. So it's time for us to mobilize, man. We really need to come together. We need people to start caring about people.
Because if you really look at it, bro, and I thought about this, man. This been 16, 17 years ago. You know what I'm saying? After I got out of prison, a little bit while after I got out of prison, I told myself, I said, they're gonna start letting people out of prison. This is way before the juvenile lifers stuff going on and everything. I seen this before it started happening. But then, I said they sentencing people to 75 to 150 years. That's way too much time for somebody to be doing and for the crime that they committed. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that they was gonna start letting people out. But the whole thing of it is we at a critical point in our lives with our returning citizens, because no one never would have thought that they was going to change laws to let juvenile lifers come out of prison that was supposed to be spending the rest of their lives in prison. Nobody never thought that they was going to start releasing people from prison for longer term sentences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody never thought these people was going to be on their way home, because society had stuck in their mind that that's where they was going to be. But now, trick no good, these people coming home. So now it's up to people in society, even though they went to jail for whatever, went to prison for whatever they went to prison for, they still gonna be part of these communities. They still gonna be neighbors, and they have to be received in a certain kind of way,
Yeah.
So it ain't my fault that they got out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even their fault they got out, even though they hoped and prayed that they one day would get out. Some of them didn't know that they was never. You talk to some of these juvenile lifers, man, they didn't even have an inkling that they was ever gonna get out of prison. When they got sentenced to that life they got sentenced to that life term, that's what they had in their mind. I'm gonna do the rest of my life in prison. For those the ones that said no, I'm not. They gonna imprison my body, but they ain't gonna imprison my mind. They out here doing good. They out here doing what they supposed to be doing. But for those ones that never thought that they was gonna get out, some of them, not all of them, but they need our help. I guarantee you they need our help. And it ain't just like I said, in Detroit, in Jackson, Grand Rapids, wherever you at. You know what I'm
all
saying?
all
So,
across the state for sure. All across the country, really. It's a big issue for all across the country. And I like to tell my young brothers, man, this. A lot of them don't see the need for change. Some of them, I know I talked to a couple young men that are in the feds right now, and I'm trying to gauge where their mindset at. Some, they say they in that stage where they ready to change. They just don't know how, right? Those are the easy ones because they already come to that understanding of why they need to change. But what I'm struggling is with the young boys that's still not coming to that realization, understanding the severity of what they dealing with when it comes to this system, and how hard it is and how much their actions, right, have a reaction. And sometimes we don't even think about the consequences of our actions, right, when we out here. And that's where I find a lot of the young boys is at, right? They don't even think about the consequences of their actions. They just out here. And they coming home. Some of them I could tell like they're not at that stage of change yet where they're ready to make some changes, but we still want to support them and we still want to keep trying to show them the way, man. But we're just struggling with that connection because a lot of the young boys, they're not ready to receive true mentoring from older guys like us. They don't see the value in the knowledge or the wisdom, but we just got to continue to be there for them. But that's the hard part is when you got guys that coming home from prison that aren't necessarily ready to make the change, is to make that connection with them to show them why they need to change. That's the biggest challenge that we got right now.
right quick, bro, I learned in my journey, man, experience is the best teacher. Let me just say that experience is the best teacher, man. When I was young and I was coming up, I felt the same way, man. I felt like, ain't nobody business but my business. Ain't nobody gonna have the consequence but me. I thought that was what it was. You know what I'm saying? So in the environment that I grew up in, and the places that I was in, I kind of categorized myself. I wasn't gonna live to be 25 or 20 or 21. I'm 61 years old now, you know what I'm saying? But I had that mentality back then that, what's the sense? So when you start realizing that you matter, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that you got going on matter, then it's not just you. You got grandparents, you got sisters, brothers, cousins, aunties, your mother, your father. It affects your whole family. It affects everybody. The stuff that you putting yourself through, that you may say that I'm the only one going through it, but it's other people in your family that you just take that you pulling down the whole with you. Emotionally. And sometimes it may take some, like I say, experience is the best teacher. It may take, especially if you've been to prison and you young and you get out, man, at 20, 22, 23, 24, you ain't did that much time. Don't do no more time. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is because you seen it. You experienced it. So that means that you could come home out of prison at a young age, 30, 25 years old. I'm going to say that because like I say, I just turned 61 years old. 30 years old is a young man to me. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was 30, I was a young man. When I was 25, I was a young man. So my experiences led me to know that it's more to life than just doing things that's going to keep me caught up and keep me, having these people on my back all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's ways to get around all that. And you can mentor to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might not want to hear from a 61-year-old, but maybe you need to hear from a 16-year-old. You know what I'm saying? They're following the same path that you've been down. They done been shot a couple of times. They done robbed a couple of people. And you know that ain't for them. You know what I'm saying? But that's somebody you can change.
Yeah.
You got in your head. I remember when we came down to Jackson, bro, and that young brother that I forgot his name. He just came home from the feds, man, and we was at the streets ain't cool, man, and he was speaking to the children, man, and he showed me that day, even though he was whatever he was into, he was gonna be respected and listened to by those children. So he
Yeah.
stopped the whole, he shut it all down. And as the man, he stepped up and said, listen, I'm trying to teach y'all something. I'm trying to tell y'all something. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want this to happen to y'all what happened to me. And we need more of that. He couldn't have been no more than 22, 23, 24 years old. You know,
Yeah. That's a young boy. Yeah. Shout out to my guy, man.
we need individuals like that to talk to other individuals. We all know that when we coming up, you've been there, bro. You know that you want to get accepted by your peers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want to not just be accepted, you want to be respected by them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can't show no sign of you trying to help somebody else that ain't in your circle. So
And because what happened is he recognized in that moment in real time, he recognized the faces from the children, them making that conscious decision in their head that, man, I ain't listening to what these Negroes is talking about. You know what I'm saying? Them old Nick, you know what I'm saying? He recognized that because we used to be that. We used to say the same thing when we used to listen to the big brothers, big sisters. Like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. Nah, you know what I'm saying? And he recognized that in real time and was like, yo, hold on, y'all need to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? We ain't up here just saying this for nothing. Like, we really care. We know what it is. Like,
once he did that, he got their attention. So I'm saying I use him as an example to say that we got some of our young people, man, that can mentor our young people. You know what I'm saying? It ain't necessarily got to be us. The person who we mentoring to may be young, but listen, we giving them what we got. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I still at 61, I still need mentoring. You know what I'm saying? It's still some things that's going on in my life that I need to be helped with. Like doing what I'm doing with you right now, man. This is like a therapeutic thing for me. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
It's allowing me to get the stuff that's embottled in my mind and in my spirit out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's gonna do. So now I know after this, I'm gonna have a great day today because now I'm gonna reach somebody somewhere with some positivity. You know what I'm
yep,
saying? And that's what it's about. Even if I reach the people that may be thinking, them boys on there, them men on there, they ain't nothing gonna happen. That's the drive, man. That's the drive when you say ain't nothing gonna happen. My answer to that is just watch and see, man. Watch and see how great coming together can be for individuals that may feel a certain kind of way across the state. You know what I'm saying? And we got.
definitely.
I want to iterate on one more thing, man. With our young people, man, we gotta let them know the power of the voting is real, man. I used to think a while, just like everybody else think, my vote don't count. Me coming together with this particular people ain't gonna change nothing, man. Listen, we could change whatever we want to change if we come together. Flat out. I don't care what the circumstances is. We can change whatever we want to change if we come together.
That's a fact, man.
That's a fact.
And
That's a
that too, man.
fact. Yes, sir.
Learning that too, man. The people in what I tell people in prison understand civics and civic engagement more than people that are free. Because in prison, we understand that we got rights. We understand that we can shut this thing down at any given time and then force you to come to the table and negotiate with us. People in society could learn that from people in prison, right? If we understood the power of our vote, if we understood the power of our spending, of our dollar, if we stopped participating in things like shut it down, we would literally shut it down. People in prison know this. Like, this is what riots do. They shut it down, and we don't participate in your child hall. We're not going to work. Nobody's gonna get nothing done today because we on strike,
Yeah,
right?
it's a sense. You already locked up, so where else you gonna lock us up at? You know what I'm saying? So I'm rolling with this for this week. I got to because sometimes if you either you with us or you against us.
Exactly.
Sometimes to get down to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but either you with us or you against us. Either you gonna support it or you ain't. You know what I'm saying? Don't just sit back on the sideline and watch this happen, and then once it start happening, you want to jump in.
Yep.
This is the time. Even though you might be received, because now you done learned your lesson. Even though you may be received in doing this, but like the brother just said, man, when it come time for when in there, it can happen the same way out here, man. I didn't watch a lot of shutdowns go down, man. I done
hmm
seen how you get more respect from the facilities administration, if you when you show that you about your what you about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Civics is the same thing. So you understand your local government. We have to understand our local government, the power of our voice, the power of our vote. It all matters. And if we can learn to come together as a collective, we can vote the people in that will be mindful of our issues, that will want to create programming and resources for our returning neighbors, because we need politicians in place all across the state that are going to support our objectives. And we have real objectives, real things that need to change. Like we're talking about reentry. All of this is about reentry and the lack of reentry services. So in order to get reentry services, especially the services that we need as a population, we need politicians, we need people that make laws to come through. We need them to understand our issues. We need them to understand some of our goals and objectives, and to create different funding pathways for us to start creating these programs and supporting these programs so we can have these services for people that are returning home. Because as y'all heard today, there's all of these challenges and factors that play into our success or our failure upon coming home. And there's a reason why the recidivism rates is the way they are. For those that don't understand what recidivism is basically the chances of you returning back to prison. You returning back to prison, right? Currently in our country, the rates that people return back to prison is high. And it's because of the lack of services, the lack of support that people get upon reentry. There's a lot of traps that can cause you to go back to prison, right? There's more traps that can cause you to go back to prison than there is resources to help you stay away from prison. So we have to physically build that. We have to physically support that. But last, before we go, man, I want to talk about an event we got coming up June 5th. June 5th, we got how the harms of solitary confinement jeopardize public safety and community well-being. We're going to host a conversation from the Solitary Justice Project. We're going to hear solitary survivor stories, solitary confinement legislative updates. Right now in Michigan, we're putting up a bill to be introduced to end solitary confinement and the practices in Michigan. We're trying to get them to change the laws and create a standard, basically a standard for how long we can hold someone within a solitary confinement. We understand some of the trauma aspects of what it's doing to people upon release. And this is the things that we're changing. Join us June 5th. We're going to be at the C-Store Deli from 5:30 to 7 p.m. This is sponsored by Open My Door and Citizens for Prison Reform. Please come out and join this conversation, because we are breaking the cycles. We're changing the rhetoric, and we're actually doing things to help improve the lives of others and make our community safer. Because bringing traumatized people back home to our community with severe mental illness, that's not creating safer communities in Michigan. And we understand that, and we're going to do better at supporting these initiatives to make sure people understand that we need to change some things about the way we do a couple things inside the solitary confinement system. We need to offer better supports and put a cap on how long that they can put somebody in the hole for. So make sure y'all join us June 5th. We're going to be at the C-Store Deli from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
And I also got an announcement, man. And I don't got the flyer. I was gonna try to send it to you right quick. But on
Okay.
June the 20th, for those individuals that's here in Detroit or that may be in the surrounding areas of Detroit, every year they host a Returning Citizen Day down at the Spirit of Detroit. That event will take place at the Spirit of Detroit, which is downtown, on June the 20th. Start time, I think, is from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and it's hosted by Mr. Beat the Odds. If anybody know who that brother is, Mr. Beat the Odds, along with Larry Darnell Jr. Smith. He's also in Justice. I forgot the other organization, but it's a sister that she holds justice. I forgot the increment behind that, but
Hmm.
they'll be down at on June 20th at the Spirit of Detroit Returning Citizen Day.
That's fire. How can we bring something like that to Jackson, man? We need that here. We ain't got nothing like that here.
Oh
We need
yeah,
a return to Citizens Day.
third year. This is the third year of them doing that, man. And it's a great event, man. You know, it is music, food. They have a couple of speakers, but everybody that's there is basically just came home or just are returning. So, yeah, I'll give you more information on that once I get the
Yes,
once
sir. Please plug me with them, man. I would love to bring that to Jackson, man. We need that. We need to have that here.
yeah, it's a space that Jackson can have a returning citizen day down
Yeah.
well. Yep.
Maybe we can get our mayor to proclaim a day, get a real solidified day in Jackson. That would be fire.
Yeah, man, because we really got to look at what it is when we talk about returning citizens, man. Majority of the population is going to be people that's returning citizens.
Mm, mm, mm. We
No,
didn't think about that. I wonder what's the numbers on that, man. Let's see, nah.
and I don't know how often. Could you let the people know how often we're going to be coming on? We had two other hosts that's supposed to be here, man, but they life be life, and let me just say it like that too, man. So
Yeah, life be life, man. Y'all know how it be, man. Um,
they definitely are supporters of what we're doing. That's Soda Don from Jackson and Blake Lindsay from from free people as well as Power of the People, and Justin with his organization, man. We here, man. So I know we got other topics that we're gonna be bringing to the table. We're building this platform for our returning citizens as well as those individuals that may be on their way home. I'm glad the sister at least put a comment in there and that's what we want. We want individuals like that sister that has her son in Newberry. We're gonna reach out to that brother down in Newberry, and don't be surprised if y'all hear him on this podcast speaking on his return, his journey on coming back home.
mhm.
I want to say this one thing before you go ahead on what you was gonna do. That when we're dealing with our young people, we really gotta meet them where they at and listen to them, man. Because
Mhm.
they could be telling us a whole lot from a perspective that we probably don't even know where they coming from. But that's why we gotta listen to them, man, and filter out what's going on in their lives, man. Because being young, we was young at one time, so we know what goes on in our lives as a young adult, especially. You know what I'm saying? If you're a young adult and you got children out here, man, and you trying to figure out how you gonna do what you got to do to support your family, besides getting off into criminal activity, we here to help. As well as I'm quite sure sometimes, man, you know, and I'm just gonna put it out here, man. The people that you surround yourself with may be impatient with you and may get to the point where they feel that you need to hurry up and do something. That causes people to get out here. To be honest, they can go back out here to commit crime. So if you're a young adult, you got a young person that you affiliated with that's your companion, and you got children, don't put a lot of pressure on that brother, man, because that could cause him to lose it. You know,
Mhm.
you don't want you rather keep him with you than him losing it and wind up doing something that's gonna put him in a predicament where now you wondering how you gonna do what you got to do without him. So that's just something we need to take heed to, man. A lot of us get out here and come back home, man, and get pressured by other people and get back into the nonsense. And we're not trying to get people back into the nonsense of things. We got to keep
Yeah.
people on point. Yeah, I got the brother Maddox Bay on here. We was just on my live. I was just letting them know that we did talk about that debriefing. That was one of the brothers that did say that when you come home, definitely need to sit down and get a debriefing
Yes.
and get yourself prepared for society.
That's so important. But before I go into that, real quick, you mentioned that there's a lot of people that have a record. Michigan doesn't really publish an exact number of how many people have felonies in Michigan, but we know from organizations like Safe and Just Michigan, they estimate anywhere between 2 and 3 million Michigan residents have some form of criminal conviction on their record. So that's a lot of people that have some form of criminal record. And if you look at just the expungements alone, we had over 900,000 individuals have automatic expungements roll off in 2023. So you're dealing with a big portion of the community that has a felony on their record, you know. So we do have to do a lot with changing the rhetoric, changing the conversation, changing the way we talk about it, and changing the way we support people. All of that has to change. It's all very real, and I thank you for all of the inputs that you've been giving and adding to the conversation, man. Everything is 100% true and real, especially like that debriefing, man. All of my brothers and sisters that have been to prison, and especially if you're religious, like for me, I know I read a lot of the Christian Bible, and read a lot of the Islam Bible as well, Islam books as well. But one of the constants, like themes, right, in that transformation is like you're supposed to be born again and you're a new person, right? So sometimes our family, they don't recognize us as the new person, and we have to make that introduction. So having that time to sit down with our family and have that briefing, have that conversation, right? This gets us a chance to actually introduce ourselves to our family because they haven't met this new version of you. You know, they don't know this new version of you don't smoke. They don't know this new version of you don't want to see pornographic pictures on your TV. They don't know this new version of you can't stand listening to destructive music. So you have to reintroduce yourself. Like, look, I don't like this anymore. I've changed and I don't wear things like this no more, or I don't associate myself around these type of things. The last 5 years that I've been gone, I've changed this about my life, and I do this now, or I don't eat pork no more like I used to, and please don't offer me bacon, or you know, all of these things that we gotta reintroduce back into our family. So to have one time when we first come home that we can do that, that's a genius idea, man. I love that.
You know
That
one thing about religion, man, and with whoever you worship, whatever entity, spirituality that you had in your head, um, when you come home, if you changed your life, you could best believe you're gonna be tested. Your family members, other individuals, gonna see if that's who you say you really are. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it all comes down to discipline. No matter what religious organization that you follow, Christian, Allah, you know, whoever, you know, it comes down to discipline. You know, and if you and each one of those religions have discipline. Christians have discipline. Uh, Muslims have discipline. You know, any religion. I'm not just speaking on all because there's a lot of religions. But you have to be disciplined, and you can best believe if you say that this is what you're not going to be doing, guess what? You're going to be confronted with the thing that you say that you're not trying to do. And people gonna do that, and some people may try to force it. Go ahead, man. You was there. You here now. You okay? No, you disciplined yourself. You done disciplined yourself so you can show the new version of who you are. So when you show the new version of who you are, you know how to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and sometimes it may get to the point where you may have to be a little harsh. Man, I told you that what I ain't doing, and you making me feel that you don't even need to be around me because you trying to influence me to do something that I know that I don't do.
yeah,
So that be the problem. I mean, as a returning citizen, you're gonna get that. I still get that to this day. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? You still the same. No, I'm not, bro. That's why we don't talk.
yeah,
That's why I don't communicate with you like I used to communicate with you because you're doing the things that I don't do. You know what I'm saying? So either come on this side with me, be my guest, you know, and let me show you what I'm doing, what I got going on. You know that what I got going on can help you help somebody else out.
yeah. Oh, that's when you'll see if they start calling you back after that. When you start calling them to come volunteer. Like, nah, I don't want to go out tonight, but you can come with me and help me at this kids program tomorrow.
Absolutely.
They start running away quick. So yeah, definitely being mindful of who you surround yourself with and building those respectable boundaries, man. That's crucial. building respectable boundaries. Betty, I'm glad that you received something from this episode today, and that's what we're looking to do. We're going to be airing these episodes every Monday at 11 o'clock. Sometimes we might go live, sometimes we might pre-record them due to the schedules of all the men that are on the podcast. But either way, they're always going to air live on Mondays at 11 every week, so that we can be here consistently. If you know someone that would like to be on the show, or if you are someone that would like to be on the show, whether inside or out, send us a message, reach out to us, either one of us, any of us that are on the podcast, and we'll get you on here, because we think that these voices need to be heard, and people need to understand the realities that people face when upon returning from incarceration. That's all we're trying to do.
We got a couple of minutes, man. I know the brother
Yep.
Hicks Hill was supposed to be calling me at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
I know it'd be a joy for to hear him on our podcast with us kicking it off, because this brother, I know he's scheduled to call me at 1. He's been real instrumental on building what we got going on. It's a lot of brothers been real instrumental on building what we got going on. That's why, I'm glad you selected the 3 people that's on this podcast now: myself, you, also the Don from Jackson, and Blake Lindsay from Detroit. You started out with a good circle, man, and we really want to bring awareness to helping people have a good transition. Like in one of my comments, they don't got halfway houses; they transition homes now. You know what I'm saying? Have a brother or sister make a good transition back out into society, no matter where you at. When you're dealing with our returning neighbors, man, we can support one another. They got ways that we can help each other out, man. And I always look at it like, and I'm not trying to say I do it from the grace, I do my work from the graciousness of God, and put it like that. So I don't mind giving up a couple of dollars, man, to help out, do what I can help out do. You know what I'm saying? Because you be surprised, man. You stop smoking cigarettes, man. You stop drinking. You got extra money. I'm not just saying that for myself, but I'm just saying when you stop something, you can see the extra money. You stop hanging out, going to clubs and stuff like that, bro. You can see I got $200-300 sitting over here. You know what I'm saying? And I got some funds put away, so I could take a little bit of this and help somebody else out with, because this ain't nothing but it was leisure money in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So not to tell people to stop hanging out, but I'm just saying, it works for me. This is how I'm able to, put money to the side to put on my phone. A brother need a couple of dollars, I can send him a couple of dollars, because, we still got to look out for our people, even though they're in prison for whatever reason they there for. You know what I'm saying? They going through a struggle. And if you're not struggling out here, if you could come up with a $20, man, you'd be surprised how much $20 can last an individual that ain't got nothing in prison a long way. And sometimes and I'm real cautious on, what you gonna do with my money. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to send you my money, and then I hear through the grapevine that you in there flipping out over with some K2. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not promoting that. I don't promote that out here. I ain't gonna promote that to ones that's in prison. So I know hygiene is important. We need brothers and our sisters they got the state stuff, but the state stuff is just the minimum. If they giving you the bare food minimum, you could just imagine the hygiene minimum. You only gonna get 2 bars of soap a week, I guess. I don't know how that go, but I know we had the big bars. Now they say they done took the bars.
You get the tiny bar.
You get 3 of them a week.
Yeah.
How you gonna wash up with that? How you gonna clean your body with that? You know what I'm saying? So, and that all plays on a brother's mental, because now here I am. I don't got nobody sending me no money. If I am working, it's just to get the hygiene. Or do I want to be clean this month, or do I want to have something to eat?
Yeah.
So that's what free people do, man. We link up with brothers that need some help. I don't mind helping, but I'm not gonna be taken advantage of. Let me just say it like that. I can easily see through some of the crap, and I ain't the one to be trying to do that, going through the nonsense of trying to help you out, and then you taking. And a lot of people in prison do that, man. They prey on their own family members. You know what I'm saying? And I just They got their mama working and owing this guy. He owe him five, six, and this not little budget. These $600-700 budgets they got going on in there. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine you having to fuel somebody's habit because they calling you telling you they need it for this, but they using it for that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
like I said, we have to be real about what we're talking about when we talking about returning from prison and maintaining your character while you there on your way home.
that's a fact, man. We closing in our 2 hours for the show, man. But that was a quick 2 hours.
Yeah, but it was an interesting show, man. So like it's going on 1 o'clock. The brother, if you don't call about 1:15, then we can shut it down. But I'm still gonna get him
Yeah,
on.
let's get a brother opportunity to get on the pod, man. I love for the community to hear this brother's voice. He's been instrumental in a lot of the work that we have been doing in Jackson specifically. He was the one that helped us bring the Streets Ain't Cool event. That was a very good event. The event that we just did with the mothers, we sponsored 6 mothers, gave them a nice high quality meal, as well as connecting them to some mentoring resources. It's part of our Women's Hood initiative that we're doing. They're very instrumental behind the scenes on helping us build programming and helping us be a support to people. They've organized several donation efforts to our local homeless and our veterans, giving them resources. So I would definitely love for the people to hear this brother, to hear from him, man. That would be amazing.
Man, when we do these podcasts, just for the sake of content, if the conversation is good, man, it's a good space to get some good energy. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Sometimes people, if you catch, some people may not want to hear what we got to say. But at this particular time in my life and in this session of people coming home from prison, people need to hear. People need to be more aware of the neighbors that that's surrounding them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And this is why I commend you for putting this together, bro, and selecting the people that you're selecting, and we working collectively on bringing other people on board to really show that that we can all work as together as one, man. And the main thing of it is, man, that I feel that if we can stop people from going to prison, man, we can stop people from doing these crimes. You know what I'm saying? What other resources can we come up with to make people stop doing the things that they're doing to get sucked up in the industry? We know that the industry ain't gonna stop because it's designed just for that. You know what I'm saying? It's designed just for that. For people to get in. When you get in trouble, you do your time. You go to court. It's designed for that. So what about if for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, we got these individuals that's gonna stop the violence. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We just gonna stop it. And I know that it's a hard task to take on, but everybody not gonna be the same. Somebody gonna latch on to it. You know what I'm saying? And you can only so many people can get killed. You know what I'm saying? So many people can get robbed. So many people, we just need to stop all that. And it only goes on, and I'm gonna be real about it, man. You don't see no other communities where they doing this at, but in our communities.
Hmm.
Just being honest. You can't go to the Arabic community. They may have their issues out there, but they ain't knocking each other upside the head. You know what I'm saying? You
But
may
you don't see it on TV either.
yeah, you can go to a European community, where I live at here in Livonia, Bloomfield Hills,
Hmm.
name a suburb. They not out there doing that. You know what I'm saying? So they come down to the inner city and it's us, man. It's us. You
It
know.
is. We have to stop glorifying the street culture. We have to stop glorifying the negative aspects of our society. But a lot of it is marketed to us. Like you said, you won't ever see a movie of a Jewish man, killing another Jewish man, or a Chinese man in prison. You don't see movies like that. But you see the TV shows and movies and music with black males destroying each other. You see all of this stuff, the buffoonery that they market to our children. But we have to be conscious and have to stop supporting that stuff. Like we got to stop supporting that stuff.
Or even if you don't have that, because like I said, we can't stop everybody from doing what they do. People like they said they're trying to make their bag. They're gonna get into their bag. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's a narrative that you set for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because when my children was growing up, and I started letting them listen to certain music that I didn't want them to listen to, because I was listening to it myself. And I'm like, what the? You don't need to be listening to that. But if you are gonna listen to it, know that some of that stuff ain't real. It's factual. So you're not going to be dealing with no fiction. Fiction. I'm not factual. Fiction. It's all fiction. You know what I'm saying? So don't take somebody else's fiction and turn it into your faction to make you go out here and do something that you know they wouldn't even do, that they rapping about, because they know it would get them caught up in some mess. You know what I'm saying? So at
Facts.
the end of the day, they ain't. If I was a rapper out here promoting whatever I'm promoting, you know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure I'm not gonna have my children doing it.
Yeah.
I have my children. Yeah, I may be rapping about whatever I'm rapping about, but my sons and my daughters ain't out here. They on their way to college. You know what I'm saying? They on their way to bed, because I already told them this is what daddy do. You know, ain't none of this stuff real. You know, this is some of the stuff I used to do, but I ain't doing it no more. But it's marketable. You know what I'm saying? They using us just like how they used us back in the slave days. You know what I'm saying? It's marketable. You know what I'm saying? We gonna sell it to the niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's who gonna buy it.
Yeah. And that's what we gotta change. Change the music first. That's a fact. When we gotta change the rhetoric completely, and start promoting different types of music, start promoting different types of energies. That's why I think conversations like this is important for the young male today, for them to see like that there's people talking about the consequences after the effect. You know, I'm still dealing with this thing that I did when I was 20, you know, and I'm 45, and I'm 50 now, you know what I'm saying? I'm still dealing with this thing that I did when I was 22, and I'm 60, you know what I'm saying? They need to hear that, because we don't see enough of those end results. We don't see a lot of the inconsequences. Like, growing up, all I seen was the dope man, you know what I'm saying? The dope man fly, the dope man this. I never got to see the dope man messed up. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
wasn't until I grew older that I got to see the dope man become the junkie, you know, and then I got to see the dope man homeless, you know, the dope man that was the man back in the day with the gazelles and all the fly stuff. Now he getting disrespected by the next group of dope mans. You know, like, we got to see that transition of the end result. You know, like, this is no retirement in this system, in this plan. We never got to see anybody go out the way that they say in the movies. None of that. So once you realize like this wasn't real, now it all makes sense. So a lot of the young kids need to know like that this ain't real. What they marketing to you, what they telling you, this ain't real. But this is what's real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just messaged her Hicksie's wife, and she said that she believe he gonna call. She gonna check, but he definitely had plans to call. So he got my message to call this other phone.
Okay,
Yeah,
bet,
that's that, man.
bet.
But yeah, once we change, and it can happen, man. You know, some people may not think that we can change the narrative of things, man. But you got to look at past history. People, man, they didn't change the narrative of a lot of things, man. It just you got to have courage enough to get out here to do it, and and be bold enough to do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, people don't want to hear what you got to say, but somebody gonna listen.
Somebody gonna listen, man. We couldn't say nothing in our music back in the day.
Right.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And we couldn't listen to that music in front of our mamas. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times our mamas just be like, turn that crap off when we around her. You know what I'm saying? Now society is different.
But you know what I remember, bro? Since we reminiscing on certain things, man, I remember my auntie, Aunt Bet. Her name, and excuse me, Miss Betty, but I got an auntie named Miss. Her name is Betty. My auntie Betty, man. Every Friday night, she had biz whiz going on, right? So all her friends would come over, and they would sit upstairs and play biz whiz. Oh, he said he gonna call. He gonna call me. And they used to play biz with the music that they was used to listen to. You know, man, me and my brother used to sit on the steps because we wasn't allowed in the room. And my auntie stayed upstairs and we stayed downstairs. And we used to go through the hallway and sit on the steps to listen to them gathering and do their little drinking and play their little music. And back then they was listening to B.B. King, the blues. They had played a lot of
Hmm.
music, and in that blues music, you would hear a lot of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That your parents didn't want you to listen to. You know, so my auntie used to play that B.B. King, man, and other artists. And when we got caught on that step listening to the music, we used to get in trouble, man, because that was the kind of music they didn't want us to listen to. We was too young to listen to that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like the music now. Some of our children are too young to be listening to some of that stuff they got going on. You know what I'm saying? So I totally can relate to that, man. And then when I got older, man, I started listening to that gangster rap, man. That gangster rap got me. That gangster rap had me on something different. You know what I'm saying? And it's just how until I was informed that listen, man, that stuff they saying is fact. It's fictional. It ain't facts. Even if it is facts, you know, some of the stuff that they do be rapping about do be about facts. But listen, you're gonna wind up going to the joint if you putting out fact stuff like that, because
Hmm.
they're gonna run an investigation on you. And that's
Yeah.
something even you may not even be wanting that to happen. But once that investigation get pulled on you and you get pulled into the mess, now you
Now
out
they using your lyrics against you.
and
You
you get
know? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some coming in right now.
Bet. Let's get my brother on the line.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from the prisoner at the Michigan Department of Corrections South Facility. If you say
These
your
days, yeah, she going to grandma's house on Sunday. She waking up at 1.
customer service
Roll up.
55
Roll up.
to accept this
We
call,
got
press 0.
Kodak Black listening,
Call, hang
sexy
up.
red twerking grannies nowadays.
The next call from is
Is that bring back the milk and cookies, granny?
$1.05. This call is from a correctional
Can you hear?
facility.
Can you hear the phone?
Yep.
Three-way calls are strictly
Yep, we can hear it nice and clear.
OC policy. Thank you for using GTL.
Islam, bro. Right quick, we got you on the Returning Neighbors podcast. You know the brother. You familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Oh well, we gonna introduce it to you, man. The brother Returning Citizen podcast is hosted by myself, Justin, another brother named Oso the Don. You may know him by another name, and Blake Lindsay. But those two individuals not here. It's just me and Justin along with yourself right now. And I was letting them know that you was gonna be tapping in at 1 o'clock. So maybe Justin want to ask you some questions, or maybe you want to introduce yourself to the podcast.
Okay, how you doing? My name is Edward Hickshill, former president of NLA Chapter 1013, supporter of Pop First, Jackson Strength Network, free people, free people. And, you know, I'm a reformed man who's ready to come home and play his part in uplifting my community and helping the citizens of Michigan and the populace of America. How y'all doing today?
Yeah, we doing well, bro. We doing well. This is just our first kickoff. So the people can hear you. You got anything you want to say to Justin? He on here as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to continue to encourage you to do the great work you're doing, brother, in the city of Jackson and the state of Michigan. You are an extreme inspiration to me. You know, both of you gentlemen are, for the manner in which you conducted your lives after overcoming adversity and returning back to society. And not just being regular citizens, but y'all are leaders in y'all communities. Y'all giving back to the women. Y'all making certain that children are guided properly. Y'all educating each other. Y'all making certain that mental health is being seen, spoke about, and actual results are occurring due to the work y'all doing. Now y'all stepping in the field of making certain that the individuals that y'all care for understand the importance of their vote and how they can collectively come together to bring about changes in their environment. So, salute you, brothers, for the work you're doing and for, as I said, being an encouragement to all men, not just incarcerated men, but y'all are encouragement to all men. You know, because y'all are actually applying yourselves in the manner that y'all take care of y'all community and you treat every child, every woman, or every human being like they're part of your extended family, and that's really what life is
Well, bro, I just want
Thank
to, I
y'all.
just
Y'all
want to
inspired
add,
me.
I want to add on to that, man. You know, I'm glad God led you to my path. You know what I'm saying? Because we need, like I was just talking to Justin, man. We need people collectively to come together, man. And if, you know, with me not even knowing you and not being introduced to you, some of the things that we got going on right now wouldn't be happening. Like, you know, we put together the Streets Ain't Cool. That's something that came from you. You know, we put together the what was that? The Power of Influence. Another thing that came from us sitting down collectively talking and putting things together, connecting the dots, with connecting the people to do the things that we do, man. So, you know, you play a great part into what we doing as well, bro. So, like I was telling the brother Justin, man, I'm 61 years old and I still need a mentor. And you may not be as old as I am, but you're still my mentor.
I appreciate that, man.
Oh,
It means a lot.
salute, brother. Salute.
Attempt to do my part. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right, man. We just appreciate you, man. We want to make sure that we gave you some space on the platform to acknowledge some of the efforts that you've been a part of. We don't want to. We want the people to also get to know you as well as a person, as well as the efforts that you've been making in the community. But this show is about reentry and about returning neighbors back into society. But we also would like to hear from people that are currently incarcerated, that are currently inside, to know like what kind of supports do you need when you come home? Like, what are the things that are your worries, your fears? Like, what kind of things give you anxiety? You know, what kind of ways can we better assist? You know, we're just trying to figure out to do our due diligence and create a real assessment of the situation. We want to hear it from the people that are impacted the most.
Okay. So, in that light, right, I understand coming home from prison. The first thing, if you haven't established certain relationships and or have yourself together financially, you're gonna need somewhere to stay. That's one of the most crucial issues that I see individuals who, no matter how much time they spend in here, the environment that they return to. Many people find it difficult to return to the environment that, in many instances, somewhat created the circumstances that brought them in here. Some people fear going back to a neighborhood where they may fear because they changed their life. The people that are around them haven't. They may be harmed, which ultimately causes some guys to carry a weapon when they know they're not supposed to. So somewhere stable, safe, and secure to lay your head. The second most important thing, which I hear, is the lack of opportunities for employment. Now, I'm in prison, so I don't actually know. But the individuals who I speak to who were once here with me, they find it difficult to get employment still due to their records. So those things are extremely vital. Is someone saying something?
I'm writing. You might be hear me writing something down. I'm just writing something. Go ahead.
Okay. So somewhere where an individual can find a stable income. Also, it's about community. Community is very important in this. So it's about, if we coming home and we're able to establish ourselves, just like you two gentlemen, it's incumbent upon us to make certain that through organizations that we build relationships with guys who are on their way home, so they can come home to some guys, not just incarcerated guys, but individuals who can continue to mentor them, help them. I didn't understand that I had suffered from depression until I came to prison, and that I was filled with hopelessness. And these particular things created and altered or directed the way I was thinking. I didn't get that information until I came to prison, and now I can understand and see when I'm about to enter into some form of stress or tense moment, so I can better act. So another thing is education. You know, guys need to be educated and have the resources to know what's going on with them, and then it will keep them out of situations. So, you know, I would say home, a job, and community first and foremost. So those are the crucial things that I hear all the guys that go home that I deal with that they need.
Okay.
And that the system has don't necessarily push rehabilitation the way they should. You have to actually want that.
Right. That's some of the things that we was talking about on this platform today, as far as preparing ones to come home and what to expect when they get here. I want to ask you a question, bro, because what have you prepared for yourself upon your release from prison? What you plan to do?
First, I want to spend some extended time with my family. I'm big on my family. I've been gone for 15 plus years. I understand that in many ways that I didn't when I was younger, that I'm really the head of my household. My nephews look up to me. My sisters look up to me. I'm a very valuable person, so I have to first do that. But from there, it's get employment, brother. Though many things that's going on for myself that I've created, I know the system requires that I have employment. So I'm going to employ myself, and then I'm going to get my thoughts together. And then endeavor into assisting others who are on their way home. This is a big industry. In the industry, people are making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars off of the prison industry. I'm of the mindset that the individuals who come out of prison and who have done a lot of time in prison, they need to understand the systems that are needed so that they themselves can create those systems and then benefit off the system as well, but do it in a manner that continuously helps the individuals coming out. So with some of the stuff I just experienced, brother, sometimes I really be thinking about going to buy a house in the middle of a field and just live with my wife, man, and garden, stay away from society. Sometimes that's how I feel. But I've established some great relationships, and I'm gonna get out there and help people. That's what I'm gonna give the rest of my life to.
Absolutely,
I'm gonna involve myself in some real estate. I was blessed to have experienced a different side of life besides the criminal side of life before coming to prison. So those are my goals. I'm gonna immediately get off into the entrepreneurial field. It's already established for me to come home in momentum, and so I'm gonna become deal with real estate. And then, brother, I really want to help the youth. The young men and young women, they need individuals who have experienced the hardships of life. And sometimes they may not be able to identify with their mother or their father.
So how do you propose to do that, bro? Because that's a conversation that everybody's saying. Not everybody want to help the youth out, man. So how do you propose to help the youth out? What are you?
You have to meet them where they are. You have to meet the youth where they are. You can't try to, in my opinion, when I was young, a guy couldn't come and try to. You have to be relatable to them first and foremost as well. You have to be able to, even though you may not like it, you got to be able to speak their language. You have to meet them where they are, then find out what it is that they need individually. Once you get to know a young person individually, then you can begin to help them. Of course, we know in life you need economic structure, you need spiritual structure, you need safe living environment, all of those particular things, but that's not the individual. We're dealing with individuals, multiple individuals, so we would have to take the time to actually get to know the young men and women and find out what it is that they like that sparks their interest. And then from there, that's how you build.
Yeah.
With the assistance of Justin, we have to create programs. We have to create programs, and the youth are into entertainment, some form of fashion, some form of sports, and then you got to take the block to the block. I had the ability to be on the block, man. Excuse my language. I've been on the block. I've been on the corner. I've been in the spot. So I can walk right up to a spot, and they're going to say, "What's up, E?" And then I'm going to have to say, "Yo, man, I'm Hicks Hill. Let me explain to you what happened, how E transitioned into Hicks Hill, and why this ain't going to work for you." It ain't no guys out there, in my opinion, that's on the street, on the corner, doing what they doing, going to them young guys saying, this ain't cool, man. I did 25 years for this life. You ain't gonna get no chain, no money, no drugs, and blow up. That ain't what's gonna happen. That's the false illusion that we sell each other.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
We got a couple user comments on here. One, the lady said that her son is incarcerated. He's in Newburgh. Was it Newburgh? Newberry?
Newberg.
Newburgh. Okay, yep. And she said that he's a Sunni Muslim, but she's a Sunni Muslim, and she don't know what that is. She knows that they've been talking about religion. She says, "Help me. My son used to take care of me. Now he's in prison on false charges, but he's not angry about the false charges. He's concerned about his reentry and outfit. He can make money as a carpenter." She says she suffers from mental illness, and she just loves what we're doing. She says, "I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you and the fathers of the community." She's just looking for some guidance for her son who's going to be re-entering society soon. And maybe, can you explain to her what a Sunni Muslim is, one of you gentlemen?
Yeah, I can. A Sunni Muslim is just like a degree of Islam. You know, they have different kind of degrees of Islam. You got Sunni Muslims, you got Shiite Muslims. You know, me being a Moorish American, I'm a Muslim. I don't consider myself a Muslim, but a Sunni Muslim is just another form of somebody that's worshiping under God. You know, a Sunni Muslim is just somebody that's worshiping under the great God, which we call Allah. You know, being a Sunni Muslim, he's real structured. If he practicing Sunni Muslim, he's real structured. He don't smoke. He don't do no drugs. He don't do nothing that would defy his sanity as yeah. You can, bro. You can call back.
Yeah, call back because we got a user comment to you too.
Yeah, so a Sunni Muslim is just a form of religion, a part of religion in a Muslim atmosphere. If you ever go, you ever see the brothers that pray 5 times a day? That particular Sunni Muslims, they pray 5 times a day to God. It's a good structure for a person that's founded with religion. A lot of people look at Muslims as we different from anybody else's. We love Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Muslims love Jesus. I know I do. You know, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't be where I'm at to this day, to be honest with you. So Jesus came to pave the way for us. So being a Sunni Muslim is nothing bad. It's a good thing that he's practicing that. And I wrote his number down. And when you talk to him, let him know that I'll be giving him a call. Dion Rigonil from Free People, I'll be reaching out to him on JPay.
Yes. Yes, I'll reach out to him as well. That way he has some connection with her.
$198.43.
Yeah. I know when I first got into being a Muslim, I practiced under the Sunni. You learn Arabic, you learn how to speak Arabic. I'm quite sure he probably knows speak a little Arabic. Like I said, they real strict on praying. They pray 5 times a day. And being a Muslim is nothing but submitting your will to God. That's what it is. Well, if anybody on this live don't know what a Muslim is and what's the duties of a Muslim, it's like you just submit your will to God. Whatever you do, it's not necessarily coming from you. It's coming from God. Just like Christians. You know what I'm saying? They submit their will to God. It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. Hicks Ill, she wanted to let you know. She said, "Can someone tell him how much we love and appreciate him, please, before he gets connected? We know how painful that the process is." So she just wanted to let you know that you're loved, brother, and appreciate it for everything you do.
Well, I appreciate that very much. The work is, as I said, it's for the people. At this point of my journey, things that I have done, learned, and have grown from have opened my eyes and made me realize how much of a responsibility we each other, and the gifts that God has given me is for the betterment of the people that's around me. I just have to make certain that I don't abuse them, take them for granted, or allow other individuals to do that either. What I appreciate appreciate all the recognition I received, but it's all in the name of progress.
Yeah.
Everything we do
Right
today
quick. I want to
be
make a
for that
comment on.
generation.
I want to make a comment on the trade majorities that says, last of all, I'm going to log off, bro. We're praying to too many guys these days. This world is lost and confused. Now we only pray to one God. There's only one God that's governing this whole universe. On this platform. I don't know what other platforms that they praying to different. There's only one God, and that's the creator of the universe. And that's who I pray to. I'm quite sure that's who everybody's supposed to be praying to. I just wanted to clarify that up.
Yeah,
There's only
a
one
lot.
God.
People get it confused. Essentially, they think that when you say Allah, they think that you're mentioning a different God, but essentially it's the same God. Everybody is talking about the same monotheistic entity, the great creator of all the universe. It's just the translations of the name that differs. So when we talk about that kind of thing, that's what we're talking about. But as far as people being lost and confused, there is a lot of lost and confused people in the world, and that's why we need people to be that guiding light. We need people to that we can look to, that can be the example, that we could say, this is what we could look forward to. And that was one of the things that helped save me on my journey, was that I had men and women in my life, directly involved in my life, that were able to be that shining example of, this is what a man is. This is what a man is, that takes care of his family. This is what a husband is. This is what a father is. And having those shining examples is what helped me find my way out of the darkness. And we got to replicate that, because there is a lot of people confused. And that's why we create platforms like this, to try to help people, push them to the way that we need to push them to. But before we go, man, I don't want to hold the brother up, and I don't want to hold my brothers up. Brother Hicks Ill, can you give a message? Can you speak a message to the young brothers that's out here that maybe have not made it in their mind up that they ready for change? Can you give a direct message to those young brothers as to why the streets ain't cool and they need to make a pivot to do something different?
Well, first, this, man, crime equates slavery. You commit a crime in the United States of America, according to the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution, you can legally be in slavery. If you don't want to be enslaved, you should stop committing crime. One. Two, it adds to nothing but death and destruction, and that's true. I don't care how much money you making, how many women you believe you have. As soon as those gates close and those cuffs go on, the illusion of that goes away. We are more vital to our families, to ourselves, if we find a way to utilize the intellect that God has possessed you with. Focus on that. This is the guy who has lost his mother, has lost his life to the streets. None of that is worth anything. Your life is worth everything. This will be one of many times that you hear from me. And you're capable of getting that same type of money, personal clout, and enjoyment working a job. And if you need help with that, seek me out. I give you a simple strategy. Equate prosperity. And anybody that knows me knows when I was a young guy, I was riding around in all type of vehicles, doing all type of things, traveling all across the United States. I wasn't selling one lick of drug or doing one illegal thing to make that happen. But everybody thought I was. And with that, I'll be gone. Peace more, and I appreciate you, Justin. Y'all brothers continue to do the work y'all doing.
All right. I'm gonna have my other phone later on today, so you can call me probably tomorrow on that phone. But for now, I just got this 313 number. If you want to call me back later on.
Yes, sir.
What we talking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
still on live? You still on?
Yes, sir. We are live. We on the platform. We got 6,000 followers, man. So I just know that your messages will be heard across all of our platforms. We live on Facebook right now. We live on YouTube right now. We're actually live on 3 different Facebook pages right now. So the message is getting out there, and that's what we wanted to do. So we appreciate you, man, and we'll definitely be tapping in all throughout this season of the Returning Neighbors podcast. We're gonna be building, brother.
Okay, then I look forward to chiming in again, man. I'll give y'all something else.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Peace, brother.
Thank you for using GTL.
Okay. Well, that was the brother Hicks Seal. For those that
He said her youngest son's father is Nap L. You might know the brother Nap. You might know that, brother.
Yeah. But when it comes down to this more science temple, it's a lot of times, you got to clarify some things up. I'm a part of I'm a proclaimed member of the Moore Science Temple, which means that I proclaim my nationality. I'm not an active member as so far as inside of a temple. I'm not an active member, but I am a proclaimed member that I did proclaim my nationality. And a lot of people get this Moore Science Temple misconstrued about what it's about. It's about nationality. You got to have your nationality. If you don't know who you are and where you came from, the labels that the slave master put on us, the Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian, those are slave names. Those are labels that was put on us, even to black, even to African American. In my perspective of the teachings that I come from, man, we all are Moorish. We all come from ancient land in Morocco. And we was transported. Some of us was already here in America, and some of us, when they had the state, it's a whole nother entity of things that go on. But I don't want to get off into none of that, because this is what this platform is about: returning neighbors. So when we do, and in a sense, this can add to our returning neighbors, because we do got a lot of people from different religious entities that may be returning neighbors that may not know exactly where we at and where we stand at. Like the sister asked about a Sunni. It's a huge Sunni community here in Detroit.
Yeah, Jackson too.
And it's a huge community. So I'm quite sure that we can link your son up with these communities that practice what he practiced, and help him along his way as a returning neighbor. This platform is meant for what we got going on here. And, But when it comes down to naming off a lot of Moors, these ills and these bays, man, I don't know a lot. I know the Moors that I know. If I did run across that brother Kemp Ill, I probably do know him, but I have to visually see him, and if I don't know him, we still brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Practice under the same circle.
But at the end of the day, it's about making sure that when people return home from prison, that they have a community of people that can bring them in, that can care for them. Like, I had this conversation with a brother that I know, a Christian brother, one of my business partners, right? And we was talking about that, what church does for him, right? And what being a part of a church community does, what he gets from it. And all of the things that he gets from being a part of that community is positive things that a person needs. We need that structure. We need that love. Sometimes we need that schedule of just going to somewhere constantly and being around good people. Sometimes we need someone to deliver us a message, a positivity, but making sure that people get connected with that community is vital for a person in their journey on re-entering back into society. So if your son is building and he's doing something positive, you want to encourage that in all ways. Try to support him in all aspects. There are a lot of communities that we can connect him with to make sure that he has that support system from people that are like-minded, right? Because that's what it's all about. So those are the things that we can do as family members to help support our returning neighbors, right? To help our citizens, our families that are coming back to society. We have to stop being so judgmental in our mindsets, right? Just because they might choose a different religion than what you might have been traditionally, right? Because sometimes that happens, especially with our African American brothers, right? We might go to prisons Christians and we might come home Muslims, or we might be Muslims when we go in and we might come home Christians, whatever the case may be. But don't don't hinder them from having a positive community around them. As long as that is positive and they supporting positivity and growth, it's going to be a good thing, and God will use that to help change their life. Just giving them that structure and that community of love around them. We want to support those type of things other than supporting the negative things, because we know the streets is going to be there. We know the streets is going to be waiting. They going to be waiting with their bottles and they drinks and they drugs, you know. So we don't want to push people towards that. We would much rather push them into a church, a synagogue, a mosque, somewhere. We would much rather that, because we know that at least under those religious structures, right, and under these religious constraints, that there will be rules, that there will be they're going to challenge for growth. Right, and that's what we need as returning neighbors. We need people that are going to hold us responsible, accountable, and teach us to show us a different way. And that's what these platforms do. But we ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. It's been a great episode, man. We could talk about this all day, man, all day.
Yes, sir. I just want to add, man, before you tap off, man. It's only one race out here, man. It's only one race of people out here, and that's the human race. You know, at the end of the day, however God made you, or however you got here, how you know, being conceived and brought here, at the end of the day, is only one race of people.
Facts.
There's only one race of people, and that's the human race. So, like I said, this is returning neighbors for all races under the human race. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here, this is me personally letting people know that I stand for humanity, man. I fight for humanity, man, and I uplift humanity. And right now, in certain areas of the world, certain areas of Michigan, our help is needed within the humanitarian aspect of lifting up the community for humanity under the human race.
All right, man, we out of here, man. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be back next Monday at 11 o'clock, man. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Make sure y'all reach out if you want to be on the show. Send us a message. Leave us a comment.
Oh, do I turn to? Oh, do I turn to?
Walk back in with a duffel bag, one key, one bus card, one last tag. Mama moved, phone dead, rent due. I know the block, but the block don't know you. Paperwork thick like a brick wall. Every form say sign here, I stall. Online page keep asking me to prove what I spent years trying to get loose. First day home, I don't sleep much. Window half open, hearing loose cuffs. My hands still shake when the door latch clicks. Still count steps like a cell block shift. I tell myself breathe, keep pace, but the same old alley got a new face. And everybody say keep your head up, like clean is easy when the whole world fed up. 72 hours, that's the test. Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours, don't let me slip. I need a steady hand and somebody to pick up. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? First 3 days, I need something true. Who do I turn to? Who do I turn to? Oh, I'm a returning neighbor too. Who do I turn to? Job site says apply online. My hands no hammers, not this thin line. Password reset, screen froze again. Red letters flashing like tried in. Court dates, check-ins, bus runs. Half the day gone before it begun. I seen guys fold for less than this. Seen hope get smothered in a small time twist. Cold turkey, hot thoughts, hard breath. Trying to stay clean with a loud head. Old numbers ring, same old pool. Same old corner with the empty pool. I don't need a sermon, just a seat. Just a real one who can look at me. Say 1 hour at a time, stay near. Cause the first 3 days hit like fear. 72 hours, that's the test.
Keep my feet on the floor, keep calm in my chest. 72 hours, don't let me slip. I need a steady hand and somebody to